Hi, welcome to Star Trek Online, tabletop stream Star Trek Adventures. Yell and scream if you can hear us. I have a weird feeling with this. Audio download. Okay. Hi, welcome to.
Hey, we did it again.
Gosh darn. Yep, there it is. Okay, that's fixed. Sorry.
Is that better? Are we
good? Okay, that should be better. Can you hear us though? That's the important thing.
Either we echo or we mute. It's
Starfleet Command, are you receiving?
50% of the time. It works every time.
Why could this not be an actual video on YouTube? It'll be a video on YouTube tomorrow. Today it's live.
Yeah.
We're watching it as it happens.
So yeah, good. Everyone says we're all good. So good. Hey everybody. Welcome to the third episode of the Star Trek Online developers play Modiphius' Star Trek Adventures. Thomas, hold up that book so they can see what we're talking about. Star Trek Adventures is a game by, as I said, Modiphius. It is a tabletop Star Trek official game, and we really enjoy it. So once every now and then, it's been once a month the last 2 months, which is nice. I hope we can keep that going. Is we get together and play a game of it. We've set in the Star Trek Online universe in the Star Trek Online timeline, and it's a lot of fun. Let's go around and introduce ourselves. Hi everyone. My name is Mike Fatum. I am your community manager, and I play Thox, the Klingon science officer, and I'm still working on his voice. This might be it. I'm not sure.
Hello everyone. The name of me, the person, and me, the character, is Thomas Maroney. I play the captain of the USS Pathfinder.
Hey Thomas, why do you wear that visor?
Because it's rad.
It's an advisory role.
Oh God, Brian, I can fire you from the show.
I need something to throw.
Yeah, we need to actually. You know what? That's a good point. For the next stream, we all need to bring tribbles to throw at Ryan whenever he makes a bad joke.
We'll be spending
We're gonna run out of tribbles.
I would have all of the tribbles.
And they multiply, so we'll always have more.
Yeah, I
tribbles.
don't know why you think that's a deterrent.
No, it's not a deterrent. It'll just be entertaining for yourself for me to throw a tribble at Ryan.
Speaking of,
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm the recipient of Throwing Tribbles. I am a content designer on Stowe, and I'll be playing helmswoman Talan Marai, the Romulan person.
Romulan Republic Exchange Officer.
That's it! Thank you, Game Master.
Right. You're the SRO that they got from grinding the embassy.
Excellent. I am Chris Menard. I'm playing Lieutenant Ethan Yeager. I'm an effects artist on Star Trek Online.
Hello, I'm Tiffany Chu. I'm playing Dr. Lyra Jenin. I'm the Chief Medical Officer on Pathfinder. And sometimes I make content for Stowe. It's cool.
Sometimes.
That's literally your job.
Sometimes.
Sometimes
What are you
I do
doing
my
any
job.
other times?
Sometimes I do other people.
Other times, she's baking
Yes.
chocolate butter mochi.
Hi, I'm Paul Reed. I'm a content designer. I am also the writer for Star Trek Online. I am playing the most awesome Cation ever, Commander Keoneth, the XO of the ship.
Sorry guys, I have a quick test I need to do here. Apparently there's an audio lag in between what we're saying and what people are actually seeing, so I'm just going to do 3, okay, that looks like 3 seconds. Chris, could you clap in front of your face for me? 2, 3, oh, you were right on time. Okay, so I need to delay you and delay the audio. Jesse, can you clap for me? Okay, so everybody is, it's only one camera that's delayed, so we have to delay everybody else.
in fairies.
I apologize guys, this is going to take me just a moment.
You're seeing the magic as it happens.
Yeah,
It's not magic,
Can they
it's
hear us
science!
yeah.
Well, that is
Well,
sufficiently
Jesse,
advanced
do you want
science.
Jesse to go ahead?
Yeah, Jesse, keep doing your thing while I'm doing this.
Keep clapping? What?
Do your intro.
And I'm Jess Heineck. I'm also a content designer for Star Trek Online. And for tonight's role, I will be taking the part of the mysterious and all-powerful entity known as the Game Master.
He's also our hero.
Before we begin, let's have a memorial moment. Of course, this is the anniversary of the loss of Leonard Nimoy. And, so we take the opportunity to reflect on the many treasures that he gave us in his role, of course, as Mr. Spock in Star Trek. Okay, moment over.
Alright, that should have fixed the audio lag, guys. Hope that's good. There we go.
All right. Last time on Star Trek Pathfinder, the USS Pathfinder is currently undertaking a mission to backtrack to the Delta Quadrant, following in reverse the route that Voyager would have taken to get home, in order to continue Starfleet's mandate of exploration and to develop a better understanding of the routes that Starfleet might need in order to deploy forces throughout all 4 quadrants of the galaxy at a moment's notice. Along the way, they expect to run into a lot of different puzzles and scientific questions, opportunities for exploration, and of course, strange new worlds and new civilizations. And that's exactly what's going on right now. The Pathfinder stumbled into an uneasy detente between 2 spacefaring civilizations. On one side, the Hekteb Confederacy, a group of 3 different species working together for mutual defense and advancement. But unlike the Federation, which has a fairly homogeneous culture and agenda at this point, with some levels of distinctiveness for various member species, the Confederacy still has it's very young and still has a very distinct sort of delineation between the cultures of its various member species. And the Confederacy formed in response to aggression from an outside species, the Kelkrit Supreme. And these are a very aggressive species that's bent on conquest of star systems near their homeworld. They see themselves as projecting their power aggressively across this sector of space. The 2 have been in an uneasy truce for several years when Pathfinder arrives, but that truce has been broken. The Kelkrit have apparently figured out dimensional folding technology, which you may remember from the TNG episode, The High Ground, and they've been using it to make suicide attacks against their enemies and against Pathfinder herself. Meanwhile, Pathfinder is trying to blunt this potential interstellar conflict without becoming too deeply involved or destroying any of the civilizations involved or creating massive ripples that will have repercussions years or centuries down the road. At the same time, the Confederacy has their own super weapon, a tectonic subduction weapon with which they can sink entire continents, and they've threatened to deploy it if the Kelkrit aren't stopped. And the Pathfinder, in the interests of bringing a halt to this war and saving lives, is trying to find some way to navigate this conflict without violating their Starfleet ethos, but also without destabilizing the civilizations that are already in the midst of turmoil. Okay, so I think that's as good a summary as any.
Space jerks, space jerks, space jerks.
Has it been a couple days, or are we picking up like the next day?
I think we're picking up where we left off. Captain Maroney had somewhat tongue-in-cheek said, well, I think it's time for us to form the Pathfinder Corporation, a reference to the Biferix Corporate, one of the 3 species in the Hekteb Confederacy, who run everything in a strongly corporatist structure. Pathfinder herself had taken part in rescue operations and fighting back against a Kelkrit invasion of Biferix space, which had earned them immense popularity among the Biferix people. But because they're a corporatist society, people immediately translated this into asking, how can I buy shares in the Pathfinder Corporation? Obviously, forming a Pathfinder Corporation is the sort of thing that the Starfleet admirals tend to get in a bunch about. So, without further ado, I think it's time for the captain to take away what we're really going to do.
We're not going to form the Pathfinder Corporation. Relax, Malus, I think is the name of our
Your contact, Malus, from the Exo Extract Corporation.
But it is important to us that we avoid escalation into a full-scale regional war. I have an idea. Hopefully the Zero Force that we've executed here today will help bring the Kelkrit to the negotiating table, and as a external party, we'd be happy to host those negotiations here on the Pathfinder.
So, I think at that point the doctor arrives on the bridge.
I was running to deck 12 last time.
You were responding to some
okay.
medical issues
I
as a
guess
result
they're
of the
okay.
invasion.
Beep, beep, boop, boop.
But, well, security teams and Action Doctor have eliminated several of the Kelkrit invaders, so you actually have prisoners, which is interesting, shall we say.
That's good to know.
Yes.
4 in medbay.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 unconscious security guards.
Right.
Gotta get on my captain's log.
That's an HR violation.
Hey-o.
It wasn't until you said that.
You should check your DOF assignments to see if
And
any
some
require
shot to the
prisoners.
head.
2 of your security guards are in sick bay with
Yeah, well,
injuries.
they're just minorly stunned when I got excited and, you know.
That's true. You accidentally
Pew-pewed
used a
everything.
wide beam phaser setting and stunned some of your own people.
How many?
And I also
prisoners?
took out the lights.
You have 12 prisoners.
So far, the doctor and you have taken out people in hand-to-hand combat, and the Klingon has whiffed the one time he did.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
The
Yeah.
time will come.
Yes, there will be some supreme bat-leaping in your future.
This is why you became a
I
science
believe in you.
officer.
For people who are wondering why the video quality on Jesse in particular is so bad, it's a function of putting a camera on Jesse. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. It was working half an hour ago.
Jesse is fuzzy.
Touch fuzzy, get dizzy.
Yeah. So, by the all-powerful game master, by nature of his very powers, makes videos fuzzy.
Okay. So to move forward the scene a little bit, Captain Maroney makes his offer that the Pathfinder will host as a neutral ground a special summit between the Confederacy and the Calcrit Supreme in the interest of brokering some sort of new peace treaty. There's sort of some tension as you guys wait for various governmental groups to make their preferences known, but diplomats with Starfleet training carry the day, and over the course of the next several hours, representatives from various Confederate government groups and from the supremacy itself make their wishes known.
Before we get to backtrack a bit, do we want to have an officers meeting, kind of as that's all getting?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you guys think that you have things to bring up that might be important to know while you have space jerks on your ship, now's the time.
Yeah. All right. So I called this meeting to have everyone sort of let's assess the situation and talk about possible solutions and priorities and sort of what we will and won't do to resolve this scenario. So we'll start with the first officer, XO. You have any concerns?
I think we are in a pretty tenuous position here regarding, various general orders that we have to follow as Starfleet officers. There's a very easy path that we could take since we have some sound technological advances, but I think we should strive to find a more long-term diplomatic solution and strive to really reinforce the benefits of cooperating with your neighbors as opposed to trying to blow them up. Easier said than done, but that would be my preference.
It's a very, very well stated. Do you have a minute?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, the nature of being a community manager means
Right.
that I also have to work.
All right, we'll let the Dr. Jenin go next. What's your read on the situation, Doctor?
As I'm going to step in for a second, you have some guests, of course, in sickbay, and you've had the opportunity to learn a little bit more about their physiology. The Calcrit, the soldiers that you have, essentially they're shock troops or suicide troopers. They clearly have undergone extreme conditioning. Their sort of training has left physical and mental scars on them. These people are brainwashed, for lack of a better term, into doing whatever it is that the Supreme tells them they need to do in order to advance their righteous cause. And some of that has involved experimentation on them by their own people.
So I could then relate that to the captain, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm telling you this because you would know this.
In examining them, do I have an idea how to reverse some of the damage of the site-to-site transporter or the folding technology that they're using? Because, in TNG it was just sort of like, if we catch it early enough, we can kind of fix some of the tissue damage.
Yes,
Or
the
is there-
Enterprise dealt with that 35 years ago. It's sort of a known
Yeah.
side effect of the technology, and you can use genetic resequencing,
Okay.
even though the Federation's a little fuzzy about that, in order to address the damage if you catch it at an early stage. But once they get to stage 4 space folding cancer, there's no fixing
Well,
it.
is they have like a bootleg version of that as
Right.
well, so is it even worse? Like the first trip, they're probably
It has a failure rate. Sometimes they just
Ooh.
explode.
Oh.
Okay.
You don't unfold correctly.
And then it exploded.
Are they in,
Yeah.
are all the soldiers that we have on board, all 12 of them, are they all in the past curing phase, or are some of them?
These are all curable.
Possibly
Your
curable, okay.
best guess is that they got this technology recently, and if they do know about the side effects of it, they haven't used it enough to have suffered it from it yet.
Okay. So, well, Captain, what he just said. No, so I've examined the 12 prisoners that we have on board, and the soldiers I can see have been tortured, or at least they have scars that look like they've been tortured. Perhaps it is part of the conditioning program, which makes me wonder what kind of government would do this to its people. I'm afraid that even if we were to host peace talks, the Calcrit Supreme might not be very open to the standard diplomacy talks that, you know, Starfleet is used to seeing. However, the good news is that we know that using this technology that they have for space folding teleportation, transporting, it does damage their tissue, but the damage is not extensive yet. I can help these people that we have on board, but I would also guess that the technology is new to them. And I'm curious to know whether they developed it themselves or if some other civilization gave them that tech.
It sounds like something information that would be useful for us to know, and something, you know, if we are able to contact with them and pursue a diplomatic path, maybe we can use back channels or something to get more information about that. I think that's very useful.
If they don't know what damage using this tech is doing to them, we can show them and then also offer to help them, you know, fix the problem if they are receptive to diplomatic talks. But like I said, I think we'll probably have to try something new with the Calcrit Supreme.
Doctor, is it possible to cross-check our own records and our own computer files on this technology and see if there are any other people the Federation have contacted that have used either similar or exact technology? You were hypothesizing that some of this may have been given to them, or at least pointed in that direction. If we can find out that it has in fact been given to them, and we know who has done so, that could be a strong negotiation tool.
This is a very long distance away from Ferengi space, and while Ferengi do get over here, it's pretty uncommon, and it's unlikely that they would be involved in trading out here, and you guys wouldn't have heard of it. The group in the high ground, similarly, is not in this particular part of Beta Quadrant. You're really far toward the northern edge of explored Federation space. Past a nebula that's largely unexplored. If they got this technology from someone else, it's probably someone you don't already know.
Does Jaeger have? Don't you have something to do with Starfleet intelligence?
Not that he could say.
I could say, but they're not peculiar.
So I wouldn't know if he did. For some reason, that I put the two together in my mind, but I don't know if that's just because Jaeger is an all-purpose badass.
Right.
Captain America.
I've had some special training.
Okay. Because maybe that's something.
Section 31.
Something he could investigate. I don't know.
Bless you.
Yes, I've got the rickets.
Do you have any thoughts, Mr. Jaeger?
Well, diplomacy isn't really my expertise.
Well, do you have any thoughts about now that we've seen them in action?
I have a. Ed, I hand you a I have a proposal.
Oh God, he's made a PowerPoint.
I have a proposal for.
As an augment, I am actually better at PowerPoints than most people.
Shazam!
It's animated.
Yeah, it's an animated presentation. It's the thing we talked about before.
No, right. Yep.
So, I feel pretty confident we can implement this in a day or two.
All right.
Operation Jaeger punches space Nazis in the jaw.
I think it's the other thing.
Well, I
before that,
don't know. I don't know if you want to tell it. So the header on the proposal is Legion protocol.
Okay. I hand that to Denova,
Yeah, the engineer.
the chief engineer.
And we'll need, Cal. I always forget your character.
Thox.
Thox.
I
Yeah.
thought you were
So-
gonna call Kelpian or something.
So Denova takes the pad and looks at it, goes through about 3 pages, he goes, "You're bonkers. You seriously want to do this?"
It's totally achievable.
I didn't say it's not achievable. There's ramifications, both in terms of our power curve consumption and Federation ethics with regard to holographic life forms.
Do these, I mean,
They won't be sentient.
yeah, we can make the subroutines so they're not sentient, right? That's,
We can make the subroutines so that by default they're not supposed to be sentient, but adaptive subroutines have a way of discovering things about themselves. And you can't have an effective security program without being able to adapt to unknown circumstances.
Well,
I don't want a
It's
bunch
not
of
like-
Moriartys running through the decks.
no, and we're
Thank you
not,
very much.
Or all we have to do
Shenanigans.
is not say they need to beat data.
yeah, we're not gonna,
all right, let's workshop
We'll,
that.
we'll workshop that in a moment. Meanwhile,
Well, at first I was going to say that, we've shown them our hand, that we are way out of their league, and that hopefully should be enough to bring them to the table. However, after hearing the doctor's report, they sound a lot more like the Tal Shiar, and we all know exactly how they are when it comes to that sort of diplomacy. So, I'm not entirely sure diplomacy is actually possible in this case, Captain.
That's certainly an unfortunate possibility. We have to act with good faith until we're certain that's the case. So that leads me to Mr. Thox. What are your sort of insights on this situation?
Captain, I'm the only one doing a character voice that I feel funny about.
I'm lucky because my character
I
just
am-
Your
sounds
character
great.
voice is you, because it's you in the game.
but it's a great opportunity for you to be in character because this, for Thox, really reflects the personal dichotomy of the Klingons being a warrior species, but one that eventually the Federation was able to get to come to the table and
Right,
make peace
that's
with.
exactly kind of what I was going to say.
Thunderstone.
Captain, I believe, speaking from the experience of my own people, I believe that you can eventually reach the Calcrit. I do not know that it is something we will be able to do within the confines of our mission. What I would like is the opportunity and ability to offer them alternatives. I would like to be able to take a look at their space folding technology and combine it with our Federation research that has been done, limited as it has been due to the dangers of this technology. And perhaps even looking at this super weapon that the Confederacy has brought to the table, and see if I can find some way. This rabbit is already out of the bag, as you Earth people would say. I would like to the opportunity. I don't understand human metaphors. I would like the opportunity to examine their technology and see if I can find a beneficial use for it, something that can bring their species together, so that we can leave them better off than they were before and less likely to kill each other.
Denova says, well, we have the space folding belts worn by their commandos, so I'll have several of them sent up to your lab.
Thank you.
can we reverse engineer their point of origin from their belts?
Didn't we already discover that point of origin?
You did.
We did.
Actually, yes.
Oh.
So they were, or at least I thought you did.
Yeah, we were
But-
like that weird triangulation thing.
Right, you did a triangulation and you found that they had been deployed from a Kelkrid fleet. They weren't actually jumping from their planet, but rather they had a fleet in space some distance from their planet and they were jumping from there. It was like they were essentially conducting a hit and run raid to see how effective it would be, and if it was very effective, then their fleet was ready to move into attack position. And if not, they could just say, we're just doing maneuvers, and then go home. The engineer, Denova, adds, so one of the difficulties when dealing with strong men of space like this, as a Cardassian I would know, is that they're convinced that their way of doing things is right because they believe that they have a moral high ground. They think that the universe owes them something and that now is their time and they're going to claim that thing. Usually, a charismatic dictator comes with that sort of ideology, the idea that The world has caused me pain, and therefore it owes me, and I'm going to share that sentiment with other people who feel disenfranchised, and then they come to believe that they have a moral authority to claim the birthright that they are owed. Getting them to confront that is difficult. It comes into dealing with the image of their self-perception. Probably a counselor or an anthropologist could give you a better understanding of it than I could.
Is our counselor, I assume I would invite them to
Yes.
this meeting? Yeah.
So your counselor will chime in and say, reflecting on that, I think that you're right about giving them alternatives being the way to go. What you need to do is, first off, their leader, they follow because they believe that their leader is strong, their leader is going to bring them into a prosperous future, and that the leader is going to give them all of the things that they deserve. They are going to see themselves as a persecuted people. And when Pathfinder comes in, powerful and shiny and unstoppable, it's going to reinforce their identity as being persecuted. Oh, the universe is kicking us again while we're down, so that we can't take what we deserve. We have to change that narrative for them. We have to find a way to expose that it's flawed, to expose that their leader's grasp on that is flawed, that he is not a moral authority, that he is not a leader that they can count on to be telling them the true and right way to do things, that the right way to do things doesn't involve exploiting other people and making them suffer.
Is it better to somehow reduce the people's faith in the leader, or convince the leader himself that his methods, bear no fruit long term, or bad for his people?
The harder but better road is to convince them that his methods are wrong. Because if you just make it so that the leader himself is no longer a viable figure, they will find another figure to latch onto with the same methodology. You want that methodology to be discredited, to say, no, space jerkiness is not the way to move into the future, and it's not going to get you what you want and what you need. And don't support anyone who's going around saying, I'm going to give you these things on the basis of being a space jerk.
Need I remind you, though, that Sela still hasn't learned that lesson?
No, but the Jatapa Council certainly has. And I'll shoot a look towards the Cardassian and point out that the path towards ultimate peace in the area around the Bajor system originally started with Federation intervention. By establishing a presence at Deep Space Nine, the implied presence and the consequences for attacking Bajor was made rather adamantly clear to the Cardassian government. It led to a lot of problems, but ultimately we sometimes have to, what is the old euphemism, speak softly and carry a large stick.
Is Malus in this meeting?
Yes, if you want her to. That's up to you.
Right. Yeah, I think I would have invited her. So far, the Exo Extract Corporation, is it just what do they call the corporate council or something?
Right, they're on a corporate council with a total of 8 different major corporations.
We have yet to receive an official ask for aid on behalf of the council to the Federation, which is a distinctive characteristic of this situation as opposed to what happened on Bajor. And if you'll forgive me, Malus, I don't necessarily think the Admiralty would be super crazy about the idea of extending a full garrison's not the right word, a flotilla out this far. I'd like to be able to resolve this situation without bringing in a full, Federation task group.
Malus nods in agreement, says, I think you're right. We can't become dependent upon you for our continued survival here. We have to find some status quo that is workable for everyone. I think that the corporate council has been hesitant to extend an ask for 2 major reasons. One is that many of them are convinced that there is going to be some sort of hidden cost that just hasn't been exposed yet, and they don't know if they're prepared to make a deal to pay it. They're worried that if you extend your assistance, that the price will come due later, and if they don't know what it is up front, that it must be because you don't want to tell them. The other is that a lot of the members of the corporate council are old and entrenched, and they stand to lose a lot of face. They lose the perception that they are in control of what's going on in our society if they have to go to outside help. And they are reluctant to do so. It undermines their authority, and it means that there will be challenges and potential changes to the makeup of the council. Anything that shakes up the status quo is bad for business. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm
Right.
just saying this is where the momentum is that's
Right.
causing the council to hesitate.
Well, right now the status quo is leaning into a escalation, retaliation of the war, and that's what I hope to avoid. That's kind of, you know, if we get involved at all, it should be to save lives without totally derailing, you know, the natural progression of anyone's culture out here. We'll have to figure out the best way forward to handle that. I'm open to suggestions. I think we can get everybody to the negotiating table, but you know what happens when we get them there? Mr. Fox, you want to figure out some sort of technology exchange?
Between the two of them, yes, nothing to do with the Federation technology, but a way to get them to share their own technologies with each other for their mutual benefit.
Right.
Can we make like some sort of subspace dampener that will make it so they can't use their folding technology?
Fox could start research.
Yeah.
No one's been able to do it before, but that's
Hey, that doesn't
no
change anything.
deterrent for a Klingon.
I'm a main character, darn it!
He has a lot. We have a lot of doffs to assign to the task.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have an idea that's a little crazy, but
I think Italian's a little crazy.
yeah.
Oh my God, Captain, it's too crazy.
Have any of you read The Christmas Story by Charles Dickens? It's an old,
Christmas
ancient
Carol?
fact. Yeah, Christmas. Sorry, The Christmas Carol.
Don't
Yes, I'm fond of
believe
that story.
I've heard of it, Captain.
The child with the air rifle.
That's too bad, Mr. Fox.
That's Christmas Story, all right.
The
That's,
pack of
that's too
marauding
bad, Mr.
hounds. They stole the turkey.
That is also a good. We can pull that up in the holodeck as well.
Bumpusses.
We'll shoot your eye out. It's too bad, Mr. Fox. You would
Not
make an
say
excellent
fudge.
ghost of Christmas Future.
I am unsure whether I'm being complimented, Captain.
Do I need to make him die temporarily?
What?
No, but we have some interesting tools at our disposal to show them the error of their ways. Let's say. I'd like everybody to.
Captain, you're suggesting we Dickens this man.
I think we need to give him the Dickens, Mr. Yeager.
What?
And it's
Dickens?
HR violation number 2.
So what is this Dickens maneuver?
In the Christmas Carol, there is a character named Scrooge, who, suffice it to say, is obsessed with gathering material wealth for himself. It's from a shameful period of Earth's history.
Is he a Ferengi?
He
Yes.
might as well have been.
Okay. I have a friend
And the story follows Scrooge near one of our ancient sacred holidays called Christmas. And Christmas, some humans still observe it, is often celebrated for as a time of giving, a time of charity, of spreading, back when we cared about things like material wealth, spreading wealth and things to people to help people who weren't as blessed as you kind of enjoy the things that they didn't have on their own. So anyway.
And wearing hideous sweaters.
Right. So in the story, Scrooge, who is very selfish, basically is approached by a series of ghosts who.
He then kills in honorable combat.
No.
Genova goes, no, wait, I know. After the ghosts, Krampus shows up and puts him in a bag.
Oh,
and then
yes.
beats him
Oh, the
until
ugly
he
sweaters,
changes
I
his
remember
ways.
now.
Right.
It's like that place Q takes us every year.
Those poor gingerbread people.
Have we ever confirmed whether they're sentient or not?
Apparently, if they're on long enough, they will be.
Belay the sass, Lieutenant. Anyway, ghosts appear and they show him visions of the past, the present, and the future, and make him realize that his selfish ways are, that he can't, that he's missing out on the true joys of life and giving and all that. We can make our own ghosts in the holodeck.
But it would take a lot of time to research the past and present of the Calcrit.
That's why we're not going to use their past and present. We're going to use our past and present. As powerful as this ship is, compared to the Calcrit technology, we are still at the mercy of even more powerful foes such as the Borg or the Iconian. And that's a message that might crack the veneer of this, might makes right obsession that Calcrit have. What I'd like each of you to do is to consider stories from your experiences of Romulus or Kronos, Trill and Kate's and the Federation Earth that demonstrate how no matter how powerful you are and you think you are, there's always a bigger fish, as the expression goes. If we can illustrate that to the Supreme Leader, he might be able to see that it's more useful to come together and to cooperate than to try to take what he thinks the universe owes him.
Captain, it's very important, I would think, that we phrase this as this so that the Supreme Leader does not see that we're implying that we are the bigger fish. We don't want to make this appear like a threat, because then he'll lash out more. It's a delicate approach.
I think the whole point is, if you think we're impressive, we get a load of these guys.
Right. I mean, the problem is we already showed that we're a very imminent threat to them by defending, having one ship destroy their entire fleet. I think colors the nature of the conversation somewhat.
Do we know anything about the conditions of the people on their homeworld?
So
is it everyone's destitute and the only real way to get ahead is
We're
to
also right outside
become a suicide bomber?
No, we're by Ferrex, I think.
Yeah, you're next to one of the Biferex colony planets, the off-world colonies. The Calcrit conditions are pretty extreme. They have a planet that suffered several environmental catastrophes while they were industrializing, and it was only when they turned into the Calcrit Supreme and turned it into a war machine that they were able to really mobilize past those into a strong industrial base. The parallels to World War II Earth are somewhat apt, that in order to pursue their military ambitions, they were willing to overlook the ecological devastation they caused and the difficulties that they caused for their own populace. Typical citizens of the Calcrit Supreme live in very austere conditions. Malnourishment is common in many areas of the planet. Shortages and rationing of essential supplies are also very common. But the people are constantly motivated by the reminder that their entire culture and their way of life is threatened by these dangerous outsiders, and that if they don't contribute their welfare to the good of the state, that all of them could die at any moment. And unfortunately, the use of the tectonic subduction weapon plays into that very propaganda campaign that, look, they destroyed one of our entire continents, families that you knew were killed and lost forever, and if we don't stop them today through your sacrifices, they'll march over our homeworld. And these people are evil and we must destroy them, is the narrative.
Well, if they believe that the universe is out to get them, why don't we show up and help them?
Oh.
Right? If their atmosphere if it's mere pollution, we can fix that. And
a lot of their difficulties are things that are easily solvable with the technology available on the Pathfinder.
As we saw with the
a modified torpedo detonating atmosphere will clear it up.
We could certainly give them the technology to fix their problems, but I don't know if it would fix the underlying culture that caused those problems.
Well, if we can show them that not everyone is out to get you. In fact, if you ask for help, you may just get it.
That's
why I wanted to bridge the two cultures with the technology.
Yeah.
Rather than us showing up and giving them a magic solution.
I'm not saying give it to them, I'm saying we show up and do the thing.
Right.
And then say, these are gifts from the Federation.
I'm
It
still
sounds like
concerned
we're
that they
playing
sound too
God,
much
though.
like the Romulan Star Empire.
Well, I mean,
You're worried that they'll
every
just
day,
take
huh?
advantage of what they give them and then use that to leverage a better position against the
Indeed.
Confederacy. It's possible. We need to undercut their confidence in their cultural superiority.
Right, if they believe that the directorate is the only source of food and security, and we can smash that mirror.
But if they think that their people exist purely to be tortured, experimented on, and conditioned, they are no better than the Tal Shiar.
I'll just leave it
How
more of
many
it.
how many Tal Shiar defectors are in the Republic Navy?
Even if I did know the number, I wouldn't be.
Not at liberty to say, but
More than
the
five?
counselor speaks up and says, the distinction that we're talking about is the distinction between just smashing their government versus empowering the people to change their own government. Getting the people to stand up and say, this is terrible, and we are no longer going to stand for it, once the truth is revealed, that what their government is doing is exploiting them and using them for this terrible war machine that's not benefiting anyone.
Either
Except
way
for
is
the top.
is pretty far beyond the scope of our duties as an exploratory vessel on the frontier. I mean, we need to make sure this. We don't even need to do what we're talking about here. We can warp out here, warp out of here, go on our mission profile and wave in the rearview mirror, and technically we will have followed the letter of our orders.
When does anyone in Starfleet ever follow the letter of their orders, though?
It's a fair point.
I mean, if we do feel that we can empower the people to throw away their oppressive overlords, I mean, I could always send a message back to the flotilla and see if the Romulan Republic would wish to assist in this regard.
That is essentially what the Republic did.
Exactly.
It said, we refuse to recreate our government in the shape of this oppressive security apparatus.
Might I suggest a series of steps that we take here? I mean, the captain has a good point. It's very clear that we do not have either the diplomatic resources or the time to fully address this problem. We do have deep space communication that could contact the Federation, and we could endeavor ourselves to at least bring some form of a ceasefire between these two powers, so our diplomatic corps has enough time to be briefed, assemble the proper resources, and return with the promise of more negotiation and deeper, more meaningful communication between these two parties. That's what the Starfleet Diplomatic Corps is for. But we can certainly take steps to at least get them to stop shooting at each other long enough for them to arrive.
Sort of the Kirk solution, put a wedge in it that will last long enough for the rest of the Federation's diplomatic corps to do the long-term
I think
work.
that's what we need to do. I want Mr. Fox.
Flox?
Mr. Fox.
Captain, I am not a toothpaste.
Start looking at the two technologies and Malus, if you can give Mr. Fox any data about the as much data as you possibly can about the Kelcrit. Sorry.
There is definitely not a whiteboard with the important names up over there. Not at all.
The Kelcrit.
No cue cards.
The Kelcrit living conditions, astrography, planetary geology, anything that he could use in this project. Meanwhile,
Is their planet in range of our long-range sensors?
Absolutely.
We can just scan them.
right, I mean, it's
Yeah.
gonna be part
Definitely.
of Fox's,
Mhm.
all right.
Since the Pathfinder has all of the long-range sensors.
Right.
Yeah, it's what we do.
Commander, if you could file a report for Starfleet Command, let them know what's going on, what we're doing, and officially request Ambassador Sugihara to send a delegation out here. Doctor, start working on treatment for the subspace transporter. I'd like our prisoners to be. First of all, I'd like you to completely scan them and record that data for distribution in terms of the effects of the transporter. We want to make sure that we have that to share as a bargaining chip in terms of we know what this weapon is doing to your people. You might not even know.
I'll put together a slideshow,
Yeah.
complete with animations.
Mr. Yeager, let's put our brains together about the holodeck program, the Dickens protocol.
Okay.
And Centurion, let's talk more about your dealings with the Tal Shiar and the, I know there have to be examples of where Romulan naval officer, Imperial naval officers and Tal Shiar operatives have been turned. What was that process like? What happened? Do you know, if you know any, we can do that kind of off after this meeting. Any other comments? All right, Melis, I'd like you to reach out and see about starting some peace talks. If you get any pushback, remind the corporate council that if they'd like us to stick around and they'd like the Pathfinder to, be available as a defensive element in the sector, that we expect there to be no retaliation or escalation, and that they will proceed with these peace talks as outlined.
I'll make it clear that your presence here removes any possibility of aggression on the part of the Confederacy.
All right. While this is going on, I still want the ship to be at yellow alert. Keep the shields up unless doing transporter operations or small craft or anything like that. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Because we're smarter than the show. So, as people are going about their business, you, at some point, Miss Centurion, get back to your quarters and you have a little communique from Romulan Republic Intelligence.
Okay.
There's a dossier attached to a little message which says, "Thought you might find this useful." And it's an intel profile about the Kelkrid Supreme himself, the guy.
So we're aware of them.
Oh yes, remember that this is...
This is between
yeah.
Imperial and Republic space.
Right. So, of course, the Romulan security apparatus is keenly aware of what's going on in the edges of their space that could potentially result in destabilization of neighboring powers. There's an extensive dossier that says that most of the state apparatus's presentation of Kelkrid Supreme is as a demigod-like figure who's infallible, the greatest genius of their age, etc., all of that sort of business. But they've been able to put together scanty records from earlier bits of communiques that they put together, things that embedded agents have gotten, intel that they've purchased from freighter captains that traded in the area, and so on. Kelkrid Supreme himself was an only child. He was considered morose, prone to mood swings. He had very poor physical coordination, according to his testing as a child, but was also considered extremely imaginative. He was highly invested in a lot of his culture mythology about the roots of where the Kelkrid came from, the ideas that they have about their place in the universe. He served in the last war against the Confederacy, but he served in an undistinguished position originally, basically doing logistics and strategic analysis. But his strategic analyses proved to be fairly outstanding, and he adapted to using cutting-edge technology in surprising ways, which led to his rapid ascension. Combined with the fact that he was able to sort of charismatically sway people on the basis of, the Confederacy has denied us our opportunity to expand, as is our birthright, and to take our place in the galaxy.
So he's a charismatic tactician.
Yes. So he was able to get a lot of people onto his side because they agreed with his message. Their world was screwed up by their own problems and by problems that they had from their conflict with the Confederacy. The Confederacy's use of its superweapon caused immense amounts of damage, economic and environmental, to them. And they blamed the Confederacy for that, and he galvanized that into the flames of hatred so that he could generate a war machine against them. And even though they are not currently at war, they continue to have that sort of propaganda apparatus. And he has successfully fended off challenges to his leadership for the last decade. Anytime someone becomes a little bit too popular, they get foisted off somewhere on the side, or they have a mysterious accident, or they're found to have done something horrible that violates the ethos of the Kelkrid people's culture, and as a result cause them to become dishonored. So he's very, very savvy about social media, shall we say.
Do we have any records of the mythologies of Calcrit that he apparently uses?
Like many species throughout the galaxy, they have these old creation myths, possibly coming back to the preserver diaspora, saying that they were created out of hardship, that they were created out of a time of strife and turmoil when the world was covered in volcanoes and explosions, and that they came into being as an expression of resilience and resistance to that kind of hardship. So their cultural psyche is ingrained in the idea of we are fighting back against a hostile universe. In some ways they're very similar to the Klingons in that regard, except that they never adopted the Klingon stringent honor codes. Instead they took on the notion that survival is your first priority, so get whatever you can, however you can, because that's the only way that you're going to live. It means that they also have a very unstable society. It's very much about a few people taking advantage of anyone they can get a leg up on, and most organizations, groups, and allegiances that form in their society are ones of convenience that don't last for a very long time. The fact that their charismatic dictator has kept his business together for as long as he has is a testament to his own strength of personality and his ability to exploit the divisions between his society and others, or his own groups of people.
Tiffany, I'm terribly sorry to interrupt. Do you have a moment for a brief description of what the Calcrit species look like? Because fan art and Foundry creators in chat want to know.
Yes. So the Calcrit are a humanoid species that are very skinny, almost skeletal in appearance. Their epidermis is sort of a dark, greasy gray-black in coloration. They seem to have some sort of oil glands that secrete a thin film over their bodies. Yeah, they.
I'll be wearing my best dress.
If you were going to compare them to humans, they are a little bit shorter, a little bit narrower, and they have an appearance that could almost be described as a walking skeleton. They obviously are fleshy, but their body physiology just tends toward being much more emaciated than humans, partly as a result of the problems that they have with their own planet, and partly as a result of their own biology. They tend to be more tolerant of high temperatures than humans. They're flame resistant. Probably they evolved a lot of resistance. What's that?
Than most humans.
It's like you could juggle 6 of these guys, right?
Yeah.
In the fire.
Yeah. They probably as a result of evolving under harsh conditions, they've developed a level of hardiness that is a bit tougher than your typical soft human. But they aren't particularly resistant to the things that kill most species, like radiation or phaser fire or anything like that. Their psych profile indicates that they have no particular aptitude for psionic ability. Not that that matters to Foundry.
If you took a squeegee to one,
yeah.
could you harvest the oils?
Are
yes,
you creating
you could,
a new
doctor.
You could do that to a
Well,
person.
I mean, because you said they're heat resistant, right? So
Yeah.
that oil must have a pretty high smoking
Well,
point.
one
Yeah.
would
So
think
it's
that
probably
oil.
really good for frying stuff in.
She's asking for a friend.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my God.
That's how we do.
Science!
Yeah.
One would think the oil might be flammable.
So.
Squeegee.
All right, so you got that.
Yeah, you got your little
Walking
secret
sexy
dossier, and it's up to you to decide what to do with it. You are under no obligation to share it with the captain, but
I probably would.
you're a good person.
Yeah.
You're decent
You fool!
as far as Romulans go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I
That's
will contact the captain and let him know that I've actually gotten a Romulan intelligence report on the Calcrit and the Calcrit Supreme.
Okay. Let's handle that a bit later.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's cycle around and see what everybody's doing.
All right. So, meanwhile, Kiona, what is Kiona up to?
I am preparing a
Does anybody want to say?
diplomatic packet
Yes.
to send back to Starfleet at, specifically to Starfleet Command and the Diplomatic Corps. Basically just saying, hey, this situation is about to explode. We need to get, you know, a diplomatic, you know, team out here post haste. I have a focus in diplomacy, so.
Oh.
Yeah, I was wondering if we could like,
You're also a kitty
treat
cat.
this as like everybody
very
coming
true.
together
Yeah,
and
well,
do the
see,
thing as like an
treat this as
extended
sort of a
task.
group task.
Yeah.
So this is a perfect opportunity for basically everyone to sort of do a thing in their wheelhouse and generate momentum
Right.
that you can use in the dinner scene.
Are you gonna green light the thing?
Oh.
Of course he's gonna greenlight the thing over the objections of his chief engineer. She was just flirting after
Yeah, we'll have to sleep on that one. But I mean, man, I really don't want to go on a rant about holograms in Star Trek.
Well, we're not making an EMH.
I know. I just meant like nothing to do with the game.
Oh,
just
okay.
like how it's not really a hologram; it's a computer program, right?
Right.
Like the hologram is not the thing that
Yes.
is sentient. Like
It's the software.
it's the software. Anyway,
Right.
sorry.
I mean, to me, it's no different than an android. It's just the body.
Well, can you sort of do a thing? There has to have been centuries of sort of responsive virtual intelligence like development that like a holodeck program,
In TOS, there was all kinds of sentient robots.
right? Like
Right.
presumably in the 25th century, they didn't stop making holodeck characters. So whatever sort of shackles is a bad word, but like whatever sort of limitations they had on that, we should be able to use.
So you're saying you don't want to make a true AI, you just want sort of an expert interface.
We want a VI, not an AI.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like the TOS robots were defeated by slapstick, so
Well, all right. Here's what we need. We just need to take the kind of diet AI from all the holodeck.
Right.
Like
They're going to be dumber than holodeck.
right. No, from the holodeck training programs.
Right.
Yeah.
And and paste that onto the Legion protocol, and that should be fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you just give them the behavioral AI routines from some of the critters from Stowe.
Right. Yeah.
oh god.
So yeah, we'll have an off-camera conversation with the chief engineer and just say, surely you're smart enough to solve this problem.
Right.
And
I've already got it half made.
I mean, really, when does the captain ever actually take the advice of the
That's true.
lead engineer?
Right.
If the chief engineer says it can't be done, captain never agrees.
That just means it's going to take 10 minutes longer than they say.
All right.
it's gonna.
So we got kind of off track. So we
Right.
were
And so
Paul's gonna
meanwhile-
roll.
So Kiona is getting on the horn with Starbase 39. So you get routed through to Lieutenant Commander DeSoto, who serves as sort of an aide-de-camp for Admiral Tanay.
Boo.
DeSoto is DeSoto is with Starfleet Intelligence, not Section 31. He's openly a Starfleet Intelligence officer who watches Romulan activity in the sector. No reason.
I mean, I would keep an eye on Imperial activity in the sector as well.
So he tells you, okay, so to fit with Pathfinder's mission profile, basically, you need to continue exploring, but you want us to send a ship full of diplomats to do a follow-up with these space fascists, for lack of a better term.
Yes, indeed. The situation is such that while it may not immediately jeopardize the Federation, it could rapidly expand. It could jeopardize some of our allies, and quite honestly, it feels like a situation where I think the Federation could definitely make some significant inroads into this part of the quadrant.
Okay, I can send your recommendation on to Ambassador Sugihara. I'll take care of all of that paperwork so you don't have to listen to him holding forth for half an hour.
Thank you.
But what strategy do you want the diplomats to use? You are the ones who have made contact, so you need to tell us what kind of door you're opening here.
The situation here is quite flammable. There have been hostilities. We were caught in the middle of them. We are going to endeavor to try to bring the factions involved to the negotiation table with the hope that we can negotiate a ceasefire and a more civilized diplomatic process to the whole proceeding.
Is this the sort of thing that's going to require a Miranda or an Odyssey, or what sort of facilities are we talking about requisitioning here?
An Odyssey to get it.
I believe that considering one of the factions involved is one that appreciates strength, a more a Star Cruiser, an Odyssey, for example, would definitely be a significant negotiation tool. If, for example, the negotiating team wanted to operate from a position of benevolent force, I don't believe that sending a smaller, lightly armed vessel would be helpful to the team.
Okay, so the strategic map should show a gigantic Federation flag saying, Federation is here. Got it. All right, so let's get that diplomacy roll. Let's see what kind of success you can generate.
All right,
Difficulty's 2.
All right, and let's see here. So what am I rolling in terms of?
2d20s.
2d20s.
2 d20s, and you are rolling your command and
Okay,
Is it presence?
presence and
presence and
command.
command, and you have a focus,
Yes,
as I recall, in diplomacy.
I do.
So that applies. So that
Okay.
means that you crit on a 1 to whatever your
Command is.
command
4.
is. So 1 to
Yeah.
4.
So
counts as
presence
2
and
successes.
command total for me is 14.
So if you roll under a 14, you succeed.
Got
Yep,
it.
and if you roll 1 to 4, it's 2 successes.
All right.
Don't roll 20s.
Chat is specifically requesting that we send in either the Yamato or a Vengeance class to take care of this.
Oh,
I'm sure.
that's a pretty good roll.
I mean, a vengeance will go over pretty good.
Yeah.
I got a 5 and a 3.
Only the Admiral has a vengeance.
5 and a 3?
Right, so
Three
I
successes.
almost
Yeah.
I almost hit 2 crits, but I did get 1 crit. So 2 successes on the dice, plus 1 of which is a critical.
Okay,
So that's
So
3
3
successes.
So
Okay.
3 successes.
and it was difficulty 2, so
So you get one
Succeed.
you get
momentum.
1 momentum.
Use
Hooray!
the red ones. Because we already have green ones.
No, you have gray ones.
Oh, whatever.
It looks green next to with the screen.
Yeah, I'm
Never
getting the
mind.
reflection
It
of the
probably
green
looks
screen.
invisible there.
This looks green over here.
I mean, if you want,
Okay.
if you're red-gray colorblind.
It's not a thing.
I got one. I got a cookie. Awesome.
Yes.
that-
Okay, so you outline your requirements, and DeSoto says, well,
We need to use
the Admiral did say to
think
make
that's threat the
all
whole
the
thing.
accommodations to make your mission profile as successful as
That
possible.
was right.
So I will make a few calls, and I'll see if Sugihara can put together a team, and then we will divert a ship to your location to follow up when you guys are done.
If you would be so kind as to establish a rapid communication channel between Pathfinder and the diplomatic team, it'd be much obliged, because as I said, the situation is somewhat volatile, and I think that periodic updates as things adjust or change would be beneficial to the team. I don't want to send diplomats into a firefight, for example, without proper warning.
Would you like to spend that momentum for an additional bonus on this roll?
You betcha.
Okay.
That's
DeSoto
what
kind
it's
of
there for.
DeSoto kind of looks askance for a second on his view screen, and you hear the doop of him fiddling with a button. There's a brief little flicker because the UI has to have some static to show you that something's happening. And,
Somebody reads Thomas's Facebook.
and then he says, secure channel. We have an agent in that area of space. He's been deeply embedded for some time because it's an opportunity for us to sort of keep back channel track on territory in between the Empire and the Republic. I can't give up this agent's identity, but I can put you in contact with them so that you can get more direct channels through Starfleet Intel.
It's Chef, isn't it?
It is not Riker.
He makes the best gumbo.
Did we go there? Did we really? It's not. We're not even loopy yet. It's
Very well.
All right, I'll make the appropriate connections, and you should get a secure communication for yourself and the captain from our intel agent in about 2 hours.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Pathfinder out.
Thank you.
And then immediately killing it to Moroni. There have been updates to the diplomatic situation.
All right,
Your ears only.
all right, meet me in my ready room.
Yeah.
Off I trot.
All right, so we want to go to
Trial.
the doctor next?
Well, she bounces, she jumps everywhere.
The doctor is,
What a very large scratching post next to my station on the bridge.
the doctor is about to put
Cultural
the
thing.
finishing touches on the very easy to understand presentation of how folding space and then, you know, transporting from site to site is damaging to your cellular structure and tissues and DNAs and et cetera.
Okay, so,
But I also, well, like, as soon as I'm done with that, I'm gonna start the treatment for people who have suffered that damage.
this is your DNA, on space folding.
Right.
The presentation is actually called "You Gonna Die, You Stupid, You Gonna Die."
I mean, it's effectively like doing origami and then dying of 1,000 paper cuts.
Okay, so this is in fact a medical role. You're treating these people for dimensional folding sickness. The appropriate stat, reason, and medicine.
I also have focuses in medicine.
What foci do you have?
Medicine. I also have medical technology,
Mhm.
ortho surgeon, orthopedic surgery, emergency medicine, symbiont physiology, and death rituals.
And what,
So-
death rituals?
Yeah, like when you die, what we do with your dead body.
That's really interesting. This will be relevant later.
What is up with your doctor?
She's an interesting and full-fledged person.
No, really.
I bet, you know what, I bet her mentor was Pulaski.
So-
Yeah.
The difficulty is only
Have to roll
one,
under
because you have
1
Starfleet
through
records about how to
5.
deal with
Yeah,
this
so
sort of stuff.
5 or less,
Is that a
so
5 and an 8?
you have 3 success.
All right, so she gets 2 momentum out of that. So you quickly cure the dimensional folding problems in your 12 prisoners. You give them some intravenous nutrition to deal with their malnutrition problems and whatnot. It's interesting because on the one hand, these people could be sort of an excellent propaganda tool, if you will, against the Kelkrid of, oh look, the
Especially since I just fed them
the
space
Supremes, yes, the Supreme was going to kill these people, but we have made their lives better and we're giving them back to you. But on the other hand, their own government would disavow them and possibly try to kill them. So who knows where that would go.
They should be part of the negotiation.
Or they'll just say that they sent them to us to be cured because they're so generous as.
Oh,
Right.
he's gonna do that, the North Korea thing, right? Like,
Right.
oh, we sent them to you because you said you could cure
So
them.
our impression is that they're no longer valuable to the Calcrit, and if we try to use them as bargaining, that'll just backfire.
The Kelkrid government clearly did not intend them to survive this assault. They were like, if they took over Pathfinder, great luck. And if they all get killed, then who cares?
What would be interesting actually is to see if, you know, I assume they will be conscious at some point. We can ask them if they have like friends or family who care about them, because
Right.
those people will
Yeah.
care.
I was
About
like,
suicide
do any
robot.
of them look like Jennifer Lawrence? Can we turn any of them into the Mockingjay?
Just,
Like,
just necrotic Jennifer Lawrence.
Right.
No,
Dark
we should,
Lawrence.
Say
we
you
should
want
have,
revolution.
we should interview them and then beam the transmission back to
that's the
Calcrid.
kind of.
It's like one of those, like, it's on every screen
Right.
possible.
Is creating a propaganda campaign a violation of the Prime Directive?
Yes, it is absolutely 100%.
just for.
It's just a little propaganda.
Anyway,
As they say on that not Star Trek show, flood the feed.
right.
So, yeah.
I mean, Discovery did it.
Okay.
But we could
Update
ask
the
them
captain.
about other like underground, like are there any underground movements?
So
that-
you wake up one of them after fixing him up, and he kind of looks around. His large round eyes blink several times as he becomes accustomed to the bright, slightly bluish lights of sick bay. And then he just stares up at the ceiling wordlessly.
Hello, I'm Dr. Lyra-Jenin. How are you feeling?
He says, "I am an expendable lieutenant. You will get nothing from me." He doesn't even look at you, just staring at
I understand, but I'm sorry to say that your mission is no longer relevant. I mean, you know.
You know, you suck.
Sorry, you've done bad.
Like, I'm sorry to say that your mission has failed, and that we're going to reach out to your government and see about bringing peace between, you know, the Calcrit Supreme and the Hecten Conspiracy?
Confederacy.
Confederacy.
Conspiracy, whoa, things just changed.
Conspiracy.
We're in a new game now.
He says, you can say what you like, but you will never get me to bend.
Oh, I wasn't going to bend you in any way, shape, or form. I just wanted to see if you were feeling all right and needed anything else. Are you hungry, thirsty? Need more oil?
Some moisturizer.
Would you like to construct additional power?
Perhaps you would like an analgesic.
Analgesic cream.
A salve or a balm.
He says, no, as a prisoner, my only duty is to escape. You will get nothing from me.
Oh.
He tests the restraints on the bio bed. Rah, 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 rah.
Oh, please don't hurt yourself.
No, please don't.
If you like, I can put you back to sleep.
Try asking him the same question 3 times in a row.
Would you at
This is
least
not
tell me
like a
your
point-and-click
name?
adventure game from the 90s.
Can you at least tell me
I've
your
heard the
name?
king has a new advisor. The king has a new advisor. I've heard the king has a new advisor.
I was really more for the Austin
Welcome to
Powers.
Cornelia.
Right.
I like swords.
So,
It's like, oh,
you know, would you at least tell me your name? Okay.
He refuses to answer.
Well, would you like to get a message to anyone aboard your home planet?
He says, you may send a message to my government telling them that I have carried out my duties.
Okay, well, rest easy. If you need anything, let me know. And then I walk away.
The nurse buzzer. So you, yeah.
I want to be like,
Okay.
Doctor, why don't you try a different tack where you just tell one of them that they died and they're in the afterlife now.
Your worst nightmare has come true.
In the afterlife.
No, they're in the good place.
Opulent.
We just have some paperwork to do before they get to the paradise part.
At every other restaurant's a froyo.
Right.
Right.
Sorry, guys. Hey, Paul, did you intentionally push yourself completely off camera?
I'm eating.
Okay, just making sure.
I don't think anybody wants to watch me eat.
All right, so I just
So
update the
you go
calendar.
back to your office, and the counselor there says,
The counselor's here?
well, obviously, if you're going to be questioning your guests,
Oh,
the
well, I should have
counselor
brought
is
the counselor in.
the
to
counselor is a
question with me
useful
then.
resource, but was watching the whole thing on the monitor.
Do we have a name for them?
We haven't named the counselor yet. Why doesn't someone come up with a name for the counselor?
We want to let
Perhaps
Chad
the
name.
stream.
Yeah, do we want to let Chad name the counselor?
Right,
Okay.
and the counselor is not Bodie McBoatface.
I
Just
will
to put that
ask-
up.
Captain's
Counselor
prerogative.
McCounselor face.
I
Hold
will.
on.
Here's how this is
No.
gonna work. I am gonna pick one from each of the 3 chats, assuming each of the 3 chats give us a nomination, and then we will all pick one of the 3. So I will be picking names that
So
sound
democratic.
like I'm not gonna not pick a funny name,
Do we
but
have to-
like I won't be picking names that are offensive or like Bodie
Couchy
McBoatface.
Do we have to
Couch
pick
potato.
should we pick a race first, since that might affect the name?
No, whatever. Right? It's Star Trek Online. I mean, any race can be named anything.
Right, and currently this is a nebulous sort of gray humanoid shape known as the
Well-
counselor. Gender, species, and name unspecified. We will dial them in as needed.
It is Brianna Coy.
Don't, no.
I actually
I mean,
didn't get that, but I don't think I want
I think
to.
they have to be a betazoid.
It's
All right.
They don't
So
have
we've got from Facebook, we've got Sarah McCotter. From Twitch, from Cryptic Studios Twitch, I'm gonna pick. Let's see. I like Megan Iridian. Although Counselor Bartholomew Goodfields is also good. And, of course, Lieutenant Tardigrade is a personal
I knew
favorite.
that was going to come up.
Lieutenant Tardigrade is a security officer.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
some Daft Punk.
And then we've got, I like this one from
Crossroads.
Perfect World Chat. We've got Peheflin, which is an interesting sort of alien.
Yeah.
So once again, that's
I like the one that's short.
I hope none of these
Sarah
are like
McCotter,
vaguely obscene.
and Sarah McCotter, Megan
He's reading it out loud, they
or Peheflin.
I like Goodfields.
I'm kind of amused by Sarah McConnor because I just imagine. And then when Data came to reactivate me into
Sarah
Sarah McConnor.
Well, I just imagine when you're walking around with this, the arms of an angel.
I mean, also Dr. Bartholomew Goodfields, I feel like should be on the table.
I think, as the one male counselor, I think we should go with Bartholomew Goodfields.
So what was the third one?
Phethlin.
Phethlin?
Phethlin.
Is it Phethlin?
Maybe Phethlin.
I just like that it's short and easy to remember, because
Dr. Phethlin?
I don't know. I like
Counselor
Dr.
Phethlin.
Goodfields.
That's 3 votes for Dr. Bartholomew.
All right, let's do a show of hands. Who votes for Dr. McConnor?
Okay.
Okay. Dr. Goodfields? And Dr. Phethlin. So it looks
Chris abstains.
Dr. Goodfields wins by a nose.
All right, Dr.
Bartholomew Goodfields.
Oh my God.
I'm going to assign Dr. Goodfield
We'll just
to
call him
the
Barty.
airlock.
I was like, are we supposed to
Let's
take
just
him
make him Dr.
seriously?
Goodfield or whatever.
Is he a betazoid?
I think he's.
I don't think he's
he's a well.
He's a Delton.
He's not an android. What's a delta?
No, he's not.
Oh
a
my
Delta.
God.
He might as well be with that name. Come on now.
As Captain the Pathfinder, I will tolerate only one axis of silliness.
There can only be so much silliness. before-
Captain, I recommend you replicate some edibles.
So,
Don't eat the whole thing.
I go speak with the counselor, be like, do you think I should try a different approach?
No, your approach is perfect. It takes time to develop a rapport with prisoners like this.
Ah,
Unless the prisoner is already in a state of total desperation, they are not going to form an immediate bond with you. That comes with time. This is perfect. You're not putting any pressure on them. You're leaving it up to them to decide the speed at which they pursue some sort of relations, and leaving it in their hands to say, these are the things that I need for you to provide for me. And then you provide them, and you develop that rapport of trust. But it's a thing that takes time. It's not going to happen overnight.
all right, I suppose I'll just have to be patient then. Thank you.
Ask
No,
him
he's
how
the
many lights
patient.
there are.
You're the doctor.
What?
Never mind.
Oh, I mean, Dr. Goodfields is also a doctor,
Yes.
so I guess I'll just have to be patient. Ah!
No.
Oh, God!
See?
We
This is
already
how it
got one.
starts.
What is
We already got it.
He's contagious.
This is
I'm
so
gonna-
why we can't replicate
I'm
nice
gonna
things.
spend a threat point for that.
What if we just put them in a holodeck simulation of Stockholm?
This is so why we can't have nice things.
Oh,
All right,
I
moving
will.
on.
All right, so but you
Doctor-
generated 2 momentum from the scene,
Yeah.
and you've tried to create an opening with one of the prisoners. So
Yes.
so far is resistant,
And I will
but
beep beep boop.
your counselor says that's
the captain.
normal. All right, so you
Like-
get that report.
Okay, good. Docs?
All right, so
You're
we're
allowed
diving
to
into
get a lot of
not only the data we have from them, but years and years of scientific reports from Starfleet from the previous space folding experiments and things of that nature, which I assume, even if they are still classified, are declassified to me.
We also have a ton of sensor data of multiple incursions.
Yeah, so I'm gonna
So,
add that.
Which means that you get the assistance from the ship, so the ship's computer and sensors.
Nice. Now, does folding space fall under warp field dynamics?
No,
Okay, darn.
no.
Well, okay, so the ship can assist. Also, since we have advanced sensors, I think the difficulty goes down by 1
Right?
if you're using the sensors.
But this is astrophysics, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I do have that focus I can use. Okay, so what am I rolling here? Oh, wise and powerful game master.
So,
to dive into
it's
this.
something in sensors.
So
Me?
two
Well,
D20.
Probably reason
Right.
science.
He's using reason and science. The ship, which is being rolled by the XO,
Right,
is using its computer
probably computers and
and
science.
science.
Yeah.
So you roll
So-
1d20.
Alright,
And
and
I
that's
roll
12 and 4 is
reasonable science?
16.
So you're rolling 2 dice.
Right, and that's so I'm trying to roll under a 17.
Yep.
And what
Since
does the
you're doing
focus give me? I'm sorry,
astrophysics,
remind
it
me.
means that you crit instead of just on a 1 to whatever your
Science.
appropriate
Okay,
skill is.
1 to 5.
Damn.
Okay.
Right, so,
Nope, but I.
Difficulty for this task is normally a 3, because it's very difficult technology. It's reduced by 1 because of your advanced sensor suite and all of that sweet data that you got from the fighting. And then the ship gets to assist you,
Alright.
represented by our XO.
so the ship, let's see, just succeeds.
Okay?
And
So no critical.
I have gotten 2 successes as well.
3.
Yes, Thomas?
Well, remember that all the rolls count as focus for the ship.
Mhm.
So just I don't know if that changes anything.
No, I mean, I got exactly what I needed to roll to
Oh,
succeed,
gotcha.
so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
No
we did get
criticals.
We got 3 successes, yeah.
All right, so you have a fascinating breakthrough in your study of this
Main
technology.
character.
I'm like, wait, why didn't anyone see this connection before? The numbers start appearing around my head.
That is literally what happens as you're looking at all of the data from this dimension folding, and you go, wait a minute, this is like an extremely crude version of Iconian technology.
Oh.
It's like the Iconian gate is a super stable, safe, reusable, easy to use version of this stuff. This is like the equivalent of the ancient coal burning steam engine as opposed to the thorium salt nuclear reactor.
Yeah.
In terms of technological development. It's clearly not something that the Calcrit invented themselves. Because of all of the data that you have about Iconian portal technology from the war, you know enough that you can get 30 seconds of advance warning when any one of these portals is being opened, and you can shut them down. It requires the Pathfinder to use its emitter arrays to do so, but it's not instantaneous. But if they were to, say, try to move their entire fleet by dimensionally folding it, you could force the dimensional fold to collapse. This is
Would that kill them?
probably fatal to anything they're trying to fold.
Okay.
But they can fold non-organic matter, so there's nothing preventing them from just folding a giant bomb somewhere. And that would be a perfect way to stop
we would have no
that.
indication of what's coming out of space fold, just that they're space folding.
Right, but if you have some intel, some reason to suspect that
Okay.
they're folding a giant bomb, you now know that you can probably shut that down.
Okay.
Can we make a shield modification to make it so they just can't beam onto the ship?
You weren't able to do that to the Iconians, so you
Well,
haven't
but-
figured that out here
But
yet.
now we know more.
You know more.
But
you don't
not-
know that much more. Not
What I
yet.
would like to do is look into if there's a way to backtrack this like prevention that I can now do,
Mhm.
so that instead of preventing them from coming out of the folded space and therefore killing them, I could prevent them from creating the folded space in the first place. If, for example, we were in orbit of the place where they were leaving and were able to send something
So
up.
you want a specialized dampener field.
Yeah.
You'll need to conduct some experiments to do that.
Absolutely.
You have a few samples of their folding technology because the guys were wearing belts that had their generators on them. I guess technically, because they're using very primitive technology, it's like they have these giant things on their belt and a huge backpack as a power source that they use to fold.
Could
Not
you
as
fold the
slick as
fold
the
and
ones.
make it like a return to sender?
Not as slick as the ones we saw in the TNG episode, where they were a tiny little thing. But still,
All right,
you get the idea.
so
So you're
I'm
partway there.
Okay, well, I'm gonna fill in the captain. So, bit of thoughts to Captain.
Captain here.
Captain, I believe I have found a way to detect with at least a 30-second window when a space folding is happening and prevent it from opening. However, if there was an organic unit being sent through the space folds, closing it in such a way would undoubtedly kill them. I'm working on refining the technique to perhaps dampen the field of the space folding at its source, but I wanted to give you an update on our progress.
That's incredible work, Mr. Fox.
It turns out it's just Iconian technology, like the caveman version of Iconian tech. I can't believe no one saw it before.
Well, I'm sure you will be published in the Daystrom journal.
At last, 100
I expect that fiction blog on my desk tomorrow.
An interesting side effect of this is that the fact that you can detect it like 30 seconds of lead-up time means that they have a spin-up time. They can't just hit a button and instantly transport. They hit a button and then they wait for the thing to spin up the portal and then they go through.
Is it like a proton pack?
Yeah, basically. They go doo-doo, and you're whee, and then they jump.
Okay.
And so they have at least 5 seconds to go, maybe this is a bad idea. Pop.
So, can't you like isolate where they're gonna come in and then just like containment field?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we know we can localize it?
Absolutely.
Like we don't just know when, we know where.
We know where, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, I can fold that into my calculations.
yeah.
That was an excellent pun. I see you've been working with
We heard you like folds.
I wasn't even trying on that one.
So we folded a fold into your fold.
All right.
You're welcome.
There.
So
I need an
I think
aesthetic.
we've got pretty much everybody.
Analogies and cream.
Except,
If we know the location where they're gonna like pop in,
Mhm.
could I do a helm maneuver to move the ship so we are no longer in that location?
And just let them fold into space?
That's,
Well, we were maneuvering before where they were able to
Or
jump.
fold into
it's
our
a
brig.
little weird.
Yeah.
That's sort of like how when you go back in time, you're kind of assuming that the Earth is somehow going to be in the same place like 30 years ago. Like,
Well, actually, Captain, there's a simple explanation for that involving relative physics, and then 3 hours later, Fox
Yes.
is done explaining that.
And you are your own grandfather.
There's a lock-on to a relative mass signature. So it's the same way that when Picard gated onto the Romulan warbird in the original Iconian episode, that's because the Iconian gate would lock onto the mass signature of the warbird. So if it moved, the gate moved with it,
Right.
since it was in orbit around
So it is a
Iconium.
relative.
It is a relative positioning system.
They thought of that.
Yeah,
so, Mariah.
that's my technobabble for the day, and I'm sticking to it.
So, Mariah, what was she gonna do? You pointed to her.
Yes.
Yeah.
What were you gonna do? Everyone was doing things. I mean, you could be
Well,
taking a break.
She got the.
Yeah,
She
I mean,
got the Romulan
yeah.
intel thing before we broke to everyone doing their specific
Right.
stuff.
I mean, I was probably going to go and communicate with the Romulan.
The home office.
The
Yeah.
Public Intelligence
To
Services.
let them know there's a situation that is very similar to our own situation, so.
Or are you gonna ask about like Telshare defectors or like how we turn
Sure, that's something you wanted to know more about, so,
deprogramming like operatives like that?
yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. So you have a nice friendly chat with someone from Romulan Intelligence Services who says, so there's a difference between deprogramming an operative versus deprogramming a culture. You're talking about, with deprogramming an operative, you're talking about establishing some sort of a personal rapport that causes them to repudiate their loyalties because they believe they can achieve their agenda better in a different way. So instead of saying, oh, I am loyal to the Tal Shiar and loyal to the Romulan Empire because I am a good Romulan, yada yada, you get them to shift their worldview to say, being a good Romulan is incompatible with being a member of the Tal Shiar. That's what you do on a personal level. On a cultural level, you have to get through their intelligent blinders. You have to basically be able to come in as someone that they consider a trusted source. When you're dealing with groups like this, they only accept information from sources that they trust. No matter what kind of evidence you have, evidence doesn't sway them in arguments. You need to be a trusted source. You need to be someone that they are willing to believe, who is then able to shift their worldview from the inside. That's part and parcel of the whole business of destabilizing cultures from the inside with intelligence operations,
So we have to find their Bill O'Reilly.
basically.
Yeah, because I mean, if they're xenophobic, then we're never going to be a trusted source.
Well, maybe. It depends. You can become a trusted source when you come in and you acknowledge their beliefs and their concerns. So if you come in and you say, you're wrong and here's why, and I have a bunch of evidence, all that you're doing is you're locking them out of listening to you.
Your space god is a lie.
Right. This, we have seen all of this on the internet. But when you come in and you say, well, I think you're right about this, and maybe we should talk about this other thing, then you are creating a dynamic where they want to be right, so they are willing to accept that you say that. There's an old saying from some of the ancient religious training, Vulcan pre-Surak. Tell them what they want to hear, then tell them what you want them to hear. You get them to hear things that they are willing to hear, so they accept you as a trusted source, then you start telling them the things that are going to shift their worldview.
We should be able to wrap this up in like an hour.
Yeah. No, that's, I mean, like,
Easy.
presumably she'll relay that to me because that's going to be
Right.
really important for the,
Yeah.
the dinner that we have with them, right? That
Right.
kind of.
Time to solve racism.
Sounds like we got it, guys.
We did it, Reddit.
Yeah, got it.
Just like any 47-minute episode of Star Trek, listen, we got to wrap this up before the next episode, so solve the problem.
What was the one? There was. Oh right, it was a Voyager episode where they had this the one where the Doctor wakes up in the museum, where they had this incredibly complex problem and it just got ramping up, and then I think someone in the last 5 seconds was like, oh, we have to solve this. So it's 100 years later and everything's fine. Bye.
Oh, yeah, Living Witness, Voyager.
Yeah.
It's the one with Warship Voyager.
Yeah. The one
Janeway.
people keep requesting in the game.
Well, they
That was
faked
still a
us
fun
out. We thought it was a
episode.
mirror
I
episode.
think
Yeah.
that was probably like pitched as a mirror. I don't know this, but like it was. I could see if it was a pitched as a mirror episode, and somebody's like, "We're not doing that." It's like, well, okay, what do we do this? And I'm like, fine. Like,
I just want to see Janeway in leather gloves, guys. Anyway.
So
Chakotay
the
with the whole face
holodeck,
tattoo.
the program, the Dickens
Yes.
protocol. I just want to do that as we actually act it out. I don't think we need to plan it and then.
No, I
Right,
agree.
yeah, well, I think we're ready to go.
100%.
Awesome.
All right, so a couple of hours pass, diplomatic overtures are received, Pathfinder sends out shuttles to pick people up to come to this diplomatic dinner, because you have shuttles with warp drive
Do
and
we need to?
transporters.
Okay, so the shuttles are actually warping to Calcrit.
Yes, you're going to actually pick up various dignitaries and bring them to Pathfinder at a neutral meeting location.
Okay.
And everyone involved is basically sort of taking it at face value that you could just do whatever you wanted, so
Right.
they might as well trust you. You know, why are we going to bring our fleet of warships here? We couldn't do anything to stop you if you decided to be bad news to us. You're in the position of Perry knocking on that door and saying, "You're going to let me in."
So I'm gonna go full Palpatine with
Wait, what?
with the shuttle
Okay,
bay.
first you're crossing the universe, and second, Starfleet.
No. I mean, like, this is, I mean, what we just talked about, right? Like,
Yeah.
show them their right, like, come from their perspective. So I'm going to, in as much doesn't overtly, like,
Oh, it's probably down a momentum.
yeah, this is a different scene.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, anybody who's not doing something important on the ship, they're, like, full mess dress in the shuttle bay when the leader arrives, right? And then have everybody, like the senior staff there in a row with our Mako guys that have the swords and the medals and all that shit, right? It's gonna be like, this is like full, you know.
So what you're saying is it's time for me to put on my honor guard armor that I
Absolutely.
earned from that
Right.
reputation.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
Including your cape.
including the, of course, including the cape.
Yeah, the Kelkrit come on and they're like, "Holy crap, you got like a dozen guys here on your alts who all ground out the Mako set."
Sir Boulevard wants to know if you're trying for that court martial.
Yeah. There's nothing, this is just, you know, again.
We're in deep space, man. The rules are different here.
The
We are
different.
performing diplomacy
That's it.
on a gunboat.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
Because Starfleet only knows what's in the report.
Right, we're kind of going full Kirk on this one.
There's nothing bad about this. It's
There's
just,
reasons.
There's reasons.
No Shadow Fury 42. We are not telling them that story. Plus, they wouldn't hear it from us because they can hear it from the Jedi. Anyway, that joke worked better in my head. Continue with what you're doing.
All right, so yeah, it's a couple of hours. Various groups start arriving by shuttlecraft, landing into the decorated shuttle bay, where you've got honor guards set up. They're
Like
phaser
bagpipes
rifles.
going on, you know.
right, boarding the missiles and
I see
disco
we're
balls.
insulting them already.
big blue 08 spinning in the air.
That's all we need to do is a subspace party amplifier.
Right,
Oh,
That'll
force
solve all
everyone
the
to
problems.
dance together. Problem solved.
Do we have to do one of like the new dances that we?
Everyone kill dance
Everyone
now.
just starts.
Oh god, they all get struck by lightning.
Anyway, all right.
Okay, and then it's off to the diplomatic dinner. The doctor and staff have made dietary selections that will be palatable to everyone involved.
We're gonna make sure we have a few
Yeah.
Kelkid delicacies that they don't have anymore.
Right, so, oh look, it's a block of fried matter.
They got it in the green flavor.
It's,
right.
it's the Roche bars from the last car.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Snowpiercer, USS Snowpiercer.
Do they like the cold?
Yes,
Oh, okay. But they are just able to withstand.
they're able to withstand much greater temperatures than humans because their special oily secretions insulate them very well, and so they can survive in higher temperature extremes. They're less likely to catch fire.
They have +2 resist versus flame attacks.
Sure. We'll stack them up, I'm sure, for all of you people playing at home.
Yeah.
So.
By we mean Jesse.
Thanks. Paul can write the fiction.
Or I can write the fiction and Paul can rewrite it, so it's good.
Paul gives you all the momentum.
He does.
So.
He does. Every time.
So you set up in the dining lounge, a la Star Trek 6, with all the expensive crystal and the chandelier. And people are arriving in their various formal outfits. The Biferix representatives, these very elderly, willowy, sort of almost ethereal-looking men and women from the blue-skinned alien species, the corporate. A few of them have neural implants, you notice, much like the one that you saw earlier.
Cyberpunky dudes.
Yeah. There's a pair of the Faltronad with their cracking epidermis and their sort of wide-set squat bodies and their wide-set eyes, just casually taking in the surroundings like they're not terribly impressed by really anything. One of them is actually a Rigelian, who is a intelligence operative, who is passing as a Faltronad via surgical alteration.
Oh, this was the tip we got earlier.
Yes,
Is that
that's your
something
tipster.
Kiona just notices? Like,
No, Kiona was alerted that. We have an intelligence agent there who
And
will
I
make
told you
contact
this.
with you.
right? No, but I mean, like,
How did you know which one it was?
yeah. Do you know which one it is, or you just know that they're on the ship? Do we even know they're on the ship?
He
Like,
smells like a Rigelian.
you will have gotten the
Yeah.
info from DeSoto. He's not a total tool. Saying, all right, this is the guy, Lieutenant placeholder.
right.
Starfleet intelligence, Rigelian, he's been surgically altered to look like a Faltronad and has been embedded there over the last year, sort of as a way to keep an eye on these species that could be destabilized by events going on with the Romulans.
Placeholder's
How
a
do they
very
not-
noble reptilian surname.
Is that right?
Oh yeah,
We'll use
can we use Fethlin for that?
Yes, we
Alright,
can!
use that.
Fethlin.
All right.
Alright.
Yeah.
So,
Or tell us. Yeah.
So my headcanon for that is Kiona he smells like a Rigelian.
but aren't
Okay.
they also like,
It smells
they're
like Teen
empathic,
Rigelian.
Yeah.
how do they not get the feeling that he's like deceiving them or something?
That's a very good question.
It's real good at his job.
Yeah.
He's a method actor.
That's right.
He's
Don't
really in
mess
the
with the
character.
fluff.
Well, it's
going
been a
on?
fun stream, everybody. Good night.
I like to think that I've just helped all of you.
We've all
Yeah.
grown closer together through
Yes.
coming riots.
Your
The
evil has
Terrans
spread.
who arrived, you haven't seen them before except in like your handouts. They're these avian humanoids. They are very bird-like. Beaks, colorful feathers, large wings. They can't fly, but they can glide. They have sort of a hunched over posture. They
Sorry.
they have better hygiene than Skeksis. They wear elaborate jewelry. Well, at least there's a pair of them that are wearing elaborate jewelry, necklaces, regalia on their heads. They have their plumage sort of fluffed out and whatnot. And then they're accompanied by a half dozen that are in very simple white robes with no jewelry or whatnot whatsoever.
Do they
You
have
may-
robes over their feather?
Yes. You may recall from your dossier that the Copterans are an autarky. So essentially, they still have a hereditary nobility system. So what you're dealing with for your diplomatic dinner is presumably some high-ranking royalty and all of their servants.
Like the Zencathi.
Yeah. So
Cats and birds, this is bad. This is bad. Cats and birds.
Restrain yourself, Commander.
I really want to chase that one around the room for about 5 seconds and then just sit
How
down
do
and
they
look
use
funny.
technology if they don't have hands?
Look, not everyone uses
Toast.
the same kind of technology you do.
Toast.
they so
They have opposable toes?
they have the long wings that have the sort of pinions that they can use to poke at things, but they have very manipulative toes, much like parrots, and they also will poke buttons with their beaks.
Okay.
So they're Helms officers, like,
They invented Alexa like four.
They probably have like a
BC.
steering wheel, like just like
Yeah, steering yoke.
No, I mean, you steer the ship by
Because all
going
the consoles
left,
are on the floor.
Right.
right?
Point, click.
Yes, so we can never put them in stow because we would never be able to make all the animations.
right.
yep,
Anyway,
So,
So don't ask.
they're
yes.
rigged against us.
Too late.
Copterans win. So yes, the two that are bejeweled have a very sort of regal air to them, and they take in everything, sort of wandering around, looking at stuff sideways, the way that birds do. While their servants trail along at a respectable distance, just apparently there as warm bodies, a status symbol. We have these servants who do nothing except accompany us because we're that important.
They're the cousins and the sisters and the aunts.
Yeah.
It's their posse.
Do they move in a large V formation?
Yeah, but one side's longer than the other.
All right, enough with the birds.
Right.
Enough with the birds.
Moving on. All right. So some introductions are done. Everyone sits down to dinner. Kelkrid Supreme also shows up, of course, along with his cohort of people in his Hugo Boss space outfits. Yeah.
Hugo Boss a lot.
Yeah.
How many hidden weapons are his cohort carrying?
So all of them are carrying a.
They're all
Like-
deactivated, the transporter.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
but I want to know how many, they did, they have the obvious rifles that are going to take. I want to know how many different hand weapons and stuff they're hiding in their jackets.
Well, all of them are carrying like a small energy pistol that's a crude disruptor weapon. Very painful if you get shot by it. But you notice that all of them are also carrying like a really small thing that's like kind of like a pistol, but it's really just a spring with a piston. You have no idea what that is. Someone had like an agricultural background? Like I grew up on the farm.
I might have.
Me,
Kiona,
I have a rural upbringing.
you have a rural upbringing, and of course you are from a vegetarian species.
So you know what this springy thing is.
But you know what that is for. In pastoral cultures, like humans back when they actually slaughtered animals for meat instead of replicating it, you would put that to the temple of a cow and kill it painlessly. This is a suicide gun.
Oh my god.
Oh, jeez.
That's messed up.
This race is just.
They got problems.
They got so many problems.
You went,
And
went
what's
to a
with
dark
that
place
one
and you made
mustache?
This is what we don't realize is this is just actually how they go to any formal dinner. Like Thanksgiving at your parents' house, you have the suicide gun.
Yeah, yeah. I have dishonored myself.
Yeah, I think Kelkrid's, his mustache is
My hands
stash
won't
here,
shut up.
nothing here.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So things, of course, are very tense as people are taking their various seats, and you have to very carefully set it up so it's like you've got the Kelkrid on one side, and then some Starfleet people here, and some Starfleet people here, and then everyone else on the other side,
feel
so
bad
they're not
for
sitting next to each other.
Ensign Ricky, you drew the short straw and had to sit.
Right next to the concrete.
Right next to one of the Kelkrid officers in his
Yeah.
smartly tailored uniform and snappy
Meanwhile,
boots.
Lieutenant Tardigrade is trying to figure out how a chair even works on the other side next to the
Right.
Confederacy.
And so
He's
it's like, I
telling
like
you-
your mustache.
I imagine like
Put a smoking point up your
if
skin
we had a
hole.
tardigrade on the crew and they had some sort of voice modulator, that they would sound like Alison Brie or something. You know what I mean? Like anyway.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
anyone have any spores?
Right.
It's like-
Business. Yeah.
The food. Aw.
Yeah.
I would imagine that your crew complement might include potentially a tardigrade, a horta, a medusa, any number of things that come in boxes. So
You don't
you're
put sentient beings in boxes, you monster.
Ensign Salty.
yes, that's right. We do not give out bridge officers in lockboxes. So the hey-o. So the dinner's obviously very tense as you're sort of discovering the nature of what you've got going on. And there's a little bit of small talk, and nobody really wants to interact with other groups. Your agent,
So it's high
operative,
school.
yeah, Lieutenant Bethlin?
P-H-E-T-H-L-I-N.
Pethlin. Pethlin
Half.
sits next to Kim.
Feth.
So you at least have that.
Are you guys
And,
passing notes under the table?
That's
Yes.
right.
So
I like you. Do you like me? Answer one
Check or A, Y or N.
That's right.
right. So
Then they write maybe in your
Yeah, you're like, God damn it.
Little folding things.
So appetizers come out, and there's like light dinner music going on in the background, some sort of space jazz.
Sabotage!
Yeah, we have
Riker.
classical music on.
And the silence, the detente is broken, of course, by one of the Kelkrid junior officers, who clears its skeletal throat, rattling, and says, "This is an interesting display of power you make, Captain. Your ship is certainly more than a match for our entire navy. You've brought us all together under one roof, like a parent scolding children that it must discipline."
I stand up and shoot him in the face.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
3
just
seconds,
kidding.
he will shoot himself.
Or unless we wanted that to be like the holodeck simulation's already going, and that's how we started. But no, I don't know.
Thox is, it turns out it was Mirror Thox.
Yeah.
That just seems like
Stifle
Mike's
yourself,
go-to move.
Lieutenant Dieter.
And Kelkrit Supreme is watching this whole thing with a gigantic grin.
Mhm.
Like he's gonna allow his troops in the social situation to kill themselves by saying all the offensive things and reading how you respond.
Okay.
Yes.
You can't twirl
So
the
clever.
it's too small.
Right. I want to take a minute to think about how I want to respond, but I want to actually just roll it.
You're like, no Romulan ale, first off.
Right.
We've
So
learned from history.
this will be, I assume, presence, command.
Presence command. You have a
Okay.
diplomacy.
You know what's funny is I do not. I have military history, which I actually might call into play here,
Okay.
or lead by example, which I don't think counts. But I want to.
Look how I dinner.
Right.
I want to.
I like dinner.
Yeah, you can just be like, like Hitler,
Dinner's so
1938.
good.
Right, right.
What?
Like, I mean, military history in the sense of like, just just kind of leaning on, Earth has a proud martial tradition that has morphed over the centuries, but I still feel it's important to honor my roots and, again, leaning into their perceptions. And,
Okay. Interesting fact. Let's see what you got. Difficulty, this is small talk. Difficulty 0, so you're just generating momentum.
Okay.
You have roots?
Let's see, presence command.
3.
Okay, so I didn't actually. I succeeded 2 success, but I didn't crit.
All right, nothing special. So you generate 2 momentum. There's as you sort of express the sentiment that, like, yeah, we have a military history, and we're not afraid to embrace it, and that heritage informs, how we deal with our problems. So the one of the Cop Terrans says, my understanding is that your federation is very egalitarian, that you no longer recognize that certain people have, and he's looking right at you out of his bird eyes, that you no longer recognize that certain people have inherent advantages that give them the right to make decisions on behalf of their society.
I'm gonna let Chris take that.
Oh, shit.
Oh! Gotta take it.
I don't.
Leading by
I don't-
example.
All right, Chris. We've talked
Yeah,
about
actually,
this. We've worked through this.
Like,
Do we need to role play a little role play?
Can I assist him though?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to pitch a softball to him.
I believe what the captain is saying.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And I don't know if that's
I'm
gonna be.
role playing my one weakness.
Right.
How did you know?
Okay. Yeah. I don't want to feed
Pass
you
the
lines of
It's
the table.
okay, feet away, I'm hungry.
The idea is that it's
Oh, would you like a chicken farm sandwich? And you not scream all night.
we're not all the same. We're not all identical. We don't all have the same abilities. It's our differences that that make us stronger. And each person is in control of their own destiny, but we also strive to make the whole better as well. That kind of thing.
Just say yes.
Well, I don't think you said that out
No,
loud.
I didn't say that out
Yeah.
loud. That's
Right.
what I hope. That's what I hope crossing my fingers under the table.
Right.
Yeah.
The captain just sort of stares this message at you.
You're right.
If you were telepathic, you would swear.
You're a gentleman and a scholar, sir.
I mean, if you're, yeah.
So I'll just summarize that.
So, with the Cop Terran sort of
What he
coming at
said.
you with the, like, don't you have the right to rule because you are the superior?
Right.
So it's
I mean, this has to be something you've made.
This might be the moment we discover interesting things about him.
Right. Yeah. All right. Hey, you know what? I mean, like, I actually don't know. I am. My character is placing a lot of faith on your character right now. That since you're in Starfleet and you are augmented, that you do uphold that sort of diversity breeds strength value that the Federation has. The fact that you made it this long in Starfleet, right? Despite prejudices against you.
Chad is currently placing bets on whether you're going to crush his head, throw him out an airlock.
Push ahead.
Well, this is one of the Coptarians. They're ostensibly good guys, or they're less worse than the bad guys.
Right, right. So,
There's an old Earth saying, the strongest man is the one that doesn't stand alone.
nice. That's perfect.
Interesting. All right, so you get your roll for command plus.
See, you were good at this role-playing
presence.
stuff. Chris doesn't think he's good at this role-playing stuff. He's good
Not
at
that I think I'm just not good at it.
That's what I just said.
Oh.
You're
Literally the
you're
words I
great at-
used.
He's good at role playing. He doesn't like role playing.
He's good at it. He
Can the
just
ship
wants-
help him?
he would prefer to be punched.
This is what and what?
This is command and presence.
Okay.
Presents.
Oh, if this were D&D, I would be incredible right now.
Those
You got two 20s, huh?
Yep,
Yes.
What, really?
Snap.
yep, that is 2 20s.
Okay.
Wait, hold on.
Is that a complication?
That's a pair of complications.
Oh boy.
Oh, man, that's
Yeah,
jumping across the
Hang on, he's
table.
gonna see if he's got a thing he can do.
The ship helps him.
No.
He just Chuck Norris roundhouse kicked that dude to the head.
Can I spend
It's like you
some
see,
momentum
flip the table over.
I think the party has 3 momentum right now, so
to kind of counteract those?
let's see what you can do with momentum.
That's horrible. 2 20s.
That's a wonderful role, and you should be proud.
Yeah,
Except
so-
in this system.
So now I'm punished for role playing.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Might I make a suggestion? Find one of your values that is applicable to this situation.
Oh.
And spend a determination to re-roll them dice.
That sounds like a great idea.
I will do exactly that, because I have one that
Repack
completely
these two, right?
applies here.
Yeah, these rolls. Okay.
What value are
What
you?
value are you leaning on?
I am not convincing.
Nice.
That is good.
That's a great one.
You're not what?
I did succeed on my assist.
He is not con.
I do not like
He's not-
the 11.
God!
I'm gonna use this
Okay.
one.
I did succeed on my assist.
Okay, so you got an assist.
I got, yeah. Well, I just want to get rid of those complications. Okay, this is much better.
Starfleet badge.
So that's, I got a.
So in case you missed it, he leaned on his value of I am not con to re-roll using determination.
Because he has
rolled
two.
two
He rolled 2 20s.
He was about
Like
to
the
roundhouse
table
kick the guy in the
over.
head.
I need those rolls when I play D&D, and I go the other way.
Literally, Chris wakes up in the middle of the night dreaming of roles like that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
should switch dice.
I have stage 2 Wheaton syndrome,
Yeah.
so.
So what are we looking at?
That's 3 success for me.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, so there's kind of a pause, and a complex welter of emotions play across Ethan's face. And then he sort of,
The rest of the crew's like, damn.
Yeah, exactly.
and then
You see me just like.
Well, because we also saw how hard he was gripping the table.
Actually broke off a corner.
Yeah.
right.
Just casually hides that.
There's an old Earth saying that only the strong man stands alone, something like that.
The,
The
the,
strongest man.
the strongest man is one who doesn't stand alone.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So negative.
Something like that.
I saw it in a movie.
All right, sounds good. I mean, we are all doing movie things here, essentially. So, so that draws some interesting table chatter from other groups, and you see the one Faltranad, the actual Faltranad, kind of nods his head along in a sagely fashion, like he approves of your anecdote.
Feltrinad will remember this.
Good.
This will be important later.
Celtic Supreme did not like this comment.
And one of the Biferics says to you, the Centurion, so my understanding is that your people are not members of the Federation, but you still work with them. And you had explained previously to one of our associates about the exchange program and the opportunities for people to join in Starfleet with sponsorship by outsiders and to rise within those ranks. Do you think that this is an opportunity that the Confederacy could use in order to get closer ties to both your people and to the Federation?
Well, the Romulans and the Federation have had an extensive history together before this exchange happened. It wasn't something that just spontaneously occurred. And the Romulan Republic has been a strong ally of the Federation since its founding. So while I do believe that yes, such a a chance could present itself, it is one that would require time to truly, I guess, nurture the relationship between yourselves and the Federation before it would probably happen.
Do you have any sort of fast track program for favored trade partners?
I would have to ask the shareholders of Pathfinder Corp.
So since you've knocked off the Kelkrid lieutenant, the Kelkrid commander, the next up the chain, takes the opportunity to speak up. And he says, well, my understanding is that the Romulans lost their homeworld not too long ago, their adopted homeworld. But that simply underscores what we Kelkrid have experienced, that a species grows through adversity, that you must destroy the old to make room for the new, that only by breaking down old traditional ways can you create something that is greater. Can you truly show your power by destruction and then creation?
It is true that our homeworld was destroyed. It was our star exploded and destroyed our planet. And many of our people became scattered as a result of it. And we learned very quickly that there are groups and races out there that are predatory. They will come after you if you try to stand by yourself. And it was only through joining up with the Federation and the Klingon Empire that we were able to solidify ourselves in a good enough spot that we have now since been able to regrow and regroup and better ourselves.
He sort of absorbs that, and then he turns toward Kiona and says, what of your people? You seem to be evolved from ambush predators, and yet you are here with these soft prey species, if you will.
I'm like sitting here eating Swedish meatballs.
Yeah. Making common cause with them. Why did you turn your back upon all of the strengths that your species had to offer?
We don't really see it as turning our backs on our past or our heritage. We see it more as a way of enriching the heritage of those that we choose to stand aside by adding our strengths to theirs. Those who are, for example, not from a martial or, as you put it, predatory species can benefit from having the strength of those who are. Those of us who come from a more predatory background can learn great volumes from those who have experienced life from a more philosophical or educational bent. It's through our diversity that we become stronger. Remaining in one course leads to stagnation and decline.
You can go ahead and roll your command and presence, and I think you need to as well, since you guys spoke up. Since you're counterpointing the commander, it's now difficulty 1.
Okay.
And if you have a focus in diplomacy or in something like
I have composure.
snappy anecdotes, I'll let you use composure, sure. You're
Keep
managing
your
to
composure.
not fly off the handle with your Romulan emotions.
And I do have a focus
Are
in
Romulans as strong as
diplomacy.
Vulcans?
Nice.
Not as strong.
Okay.
They're a little
And then you go,
stronger,
"Meow."
but not as strong as well.
That's
I
right.
do have a value
That's right.
that we are stronger
Then I
as an
proceed to
alliance.
lick my bottom
Okay.
while I grew myself.
Well, you're not going to use the term.
It's like, hold on.
So,
Sure.
necessarily. I mean, you might.
Right now, you guys are generating momentum so that you can start spending it when everything goes sideways.
Do not get any
Here's
Hooray!
Yes.
Here's hoping I
How the
generate
system
momentum.
works.
I'm rolling under a
Wait,
9.
it's going sideways?
Oh, it will.
I do not get any criticals,
Oh,
but I do
I got one
two
success.
successes.
All right.
Okay,
No,
it was
we'll
difficulty
get to
1,
action, Doctor.
so 1 extra momentum.
Yep.
And
So
Why?
I have one success.
Being funny.
Okay,
What's the complication range? Just 20?
just 20.
Okay.
Yes.
group gets a memento.
Yeah, at least you're not double
All right.
spaced.
Momentum.
Add one there.
Do one from each or just one?
It was difficulty 1. So you
Yeah,
only got one
I didn't
success.
get one.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
So
but you prevented like losing
Didn't work
ground.
out.
Yeah,
Right,
I'm just
right.
adding
Right.
one to
Yeah,
the,
two more.
okay.
Oh, I got one more than
All right,
I
we're
needed,
2 for
so
2.
I
All right.
get one to the pool.
The Kelkrid Supreme finally speaks up, and this causes all of the other table chatter to stop as he like polishes off a piece of spaghetti, blue spaghetti, of course, and then he says, My understanding is that the Klingon, the Empire, prides itself on being a warrior race, very strong, able to conquer anyone, any threat that wages against it. And yet, here you sit in this dining room that is lavishly appointed for comfort, not the settings of a warrior, I fear.
How do the Calcrit know so much about our species?
Giant bite of God.
Really?
The food that is still wriggling on my plate.
Yes.
Let's see.
We should offer him
Com-
some gah.
Comforts are often provided to the victor, and Klingons have found that we are stronger working with the races that we previously might have conquered. It leads us to new discoveries and new things to conquer. Why, just today, I broke open a frontier that had never been conquered before, by myself, with the help of my friends.
You should totally throw in something
You
about
should just
We have
tell
found
him.
that
No, not yet.
We have found that it
By
is
myself with the help of my friends,
Shut up.
of course, makes no sense at all.
Yes.
But hang on, we're not done yet. He says, fascinating. And yet, the Klingons, I'm told, have conquered many other species. Do you not value loyalty from your subjects? Does not that show that an empire is strong? When an emperor can issue orders, and they are followed without hesitation, because you know that everyone in the empire moves with one voice, one thought, in one direction.
You have to give a speech about honor.
I'm so sorry. In Klingon culture, orders are followed until they no longer make sense, at which point the man issuing the orders is removed.
He says, that is a fascinating distinction. I have learned, of course, a bit about your culture from certain exchanges that I have had with outsiders. And to our culture, orders are always followed because we expect the strongest, the most superior to rise to the top. And those are the people who will make the decisions that will lead the culture to glory and success. One cannot expect lesser entities to lead to success in a dangerous and turbulent galaxy such as the one in which we live. As you have yourselves shown, there are many hazards, many possible threats, and therefore a people must be united under a strong leader if they are to make their way into the future. And that means no hesitation. Everyone must be ready to execute that leader's vision at a moment's notice. He snaps his fingers, and the lieutenant salutes, pulls out his gun, and kills himself.
Sorry,
I think Christmas Carol's gonna
Fox is
lie.
on his feet.
I stand up too.
but looks to the captain, and then
So
I assume
literally
I
the
don't get a
guy
nod.
pistons himself in the head and then falls over. People stand up, there's horrified gasps from around the table.
I assume the doctor.
The appetite is gone.
Yeah. All right.
That's
I,
all right.
Medical
over and
emergency,
beep, beep, beep,
main galley.
all right.
Okay,
Emergency transport to sick bay.
all right. Action doctor slides over the table, sending blue spaghetti flying through the air.
Chickens!
What about my medical tricorder? Beep, beep, boop, boop.
Okay.
He's dead, Jim.
All right. Difficulty 4.
Oh wait, I could fix this.
Reason plus medicine.
Oh, is he secretly not dead?
All right.
He has suffered
We're
massive
gonna have
trauma to his
Wait,
cerebrum.
4?
We have to
Difficulty
spend some
4.
momentum.
Yeah, you better crit.
Can the
We
ship boat
can
help
spend
me?
3
Not
and
yet.
give her 2 dice.
Yeah, do that.
All right. So add
What?
You have 2 more dice.
2 more dice.
Oh, that's okay. Sweet. Oh, am I spending our parties?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is this the sideways things you were telling me
I
about?
hope I haven't horrified everyone on our feed.
Not yet,
what
no.
are we? What am I rolling? Reason?
You're using your reason and medicine.
15. Medicine is 5.
Okay, so you
so
got.
that's like a crit.
So what's your minimum? What?
15.
15. So you got this one. That's 2 successes and a crit. So that's 4 successes.
Okay.
Oh shit.
All right. So she skids
Action
over
doctor.
Action
the table.
And then
Oh.
puts his brain back in his
It was
head.
it was a clean through and through. Like,
You knock the suicide pistol out of his hand. Give him a hypo spray that'll throw him into essentially a comatose state. Kiona, of course, rapidly, immediately had hit her combat and said medical emergency in the galley. And just as you're reaching back, there's the sound of the transporter, and 3 medical officers beam in, and one of them is immediately handing you a full-size medical trauma kit. So she starts pulling stuff out and doing her best to try and put this guy's head back together. All this time, Calcrit Supreme is sitting there sort of rubbing his hands like this and grinning like a madman. And he says, you see, absolute loyalty. That is what drives an empire's strength.
At this point, I just kind of go,
Except not with that finger.
and then say, I think you might want to refrain from more finger snapping in the future.
I might need to roll composure.
Should I?
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say,
If
should
you
I?
feel like you need to make a check for your composure, make a check for your composure.
More difficulty.
Am I working on this guy on the floor?
You are working on this. You
Okay.
basically push stuff off of the table, and just like Bones in Star Trek VI trying to save Gowron, you have straddled this guy on the table and are trying to put his head back together.
Not the Swedish meatballs!
Would this be control command?
Yes.
But this time she knows the enemy.
I'm gonna. So after
Meatballs back in the- It's all the same.
after she
spaghetti,
stabilizes
splat.
him, I'm gonna point at the Calcrit leader and Mr. I'm the master after God on this ship. If you do that again, you will never see the Calcrit homeworld.
Again?
I swear.
Oh, because he's
Okay.
threatening the lives of one of your guests.
Full Kirk him.
Yeah,
Full Kirk him.
Yep.
Mr. Yeager, confiscate all of those weapons.
All right.
So you get up and they sort of they look at the leader and he just nods and they grudgingly hand over their suicide pistols and he says, "A show of strength, bravo, Captain."
Well, I hate this guy.
Yeah.
I hate this guy a lot.
And he's like oily and shit.
Yeah.
It's not even
By the way,
funny. No
we do already have fan art of
Oh my God.
You guys are
That's
so
really cool.
awesome.
That
pretty
is
good.
so fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
a
yes.
costume editor. I don't know if I can rotate this so you can see it. Oh, I maybe can.
That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
They're so evil.
Yes.
So what's
Use
the,
that to make that.
I wish we had giveaways.
what's the difficulty for,
Composure difficulty 2. This is a pretty horrifying event, but you've lived through some horrifying events.
well, I'm more freaking out about the way he's talking about like this blind dedication to one's emperor.
Yeah.
Because that's very Romulan Star Empire.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, I got 2 successes.
All right, so you are able to handle these churning emotions that are driving within you, the powerful fire, the passion that gives Romulan people their strength, but also is their weakness.
You're not turning another shade of green.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so you collect all of their little suicide guns. I don't know if you want to just crush them in your bare hands.
Can you do that?
Yeah,
Are
he
they
totally
that
can do that.
flimsy?
Alright,
well, they might have an
plastic.
They're just like
All
made
right.
out of aluminum.
All right,
you know?
I'll
They
be
just
like-
have to be,
yeah, I'll be like-
just the piston and the spring have to be strong enough. to
They're
hold
aluminum,
that
just
thing.
crush them against your
Yeah, I'll be
forehead.
like, Mr. Yeager, dispose of them now, please.
Yeah.
So,
Or display of force.
so you crush their little suicide guns. And Kelkridge Supreme says, well, let's get this useless material off of the table so we can have dessert.
I
No
think-
dessert for you.
Yeah,
Yeah, no dessert for you, sir.
Except just desserts.
I
He's
think,
gesturing to the guy who just shot himself in the head.
Like while
Yeah.
you're still working on them?
Yeah. I mean, he's obviously no longer useful to them. He's just a cadaver.
Well, he's my patient now, sir. Is he a sir? Do I call him sir?
You can call him whatever you like.
He's my patient now.
Jim.
Jerk face.
He's my
Yeah.
patient now, and I make the final decision on this ship as to what happens to my patients. So please, be a little bit patient while I work on my patient. Boy, that's sass.
One of the orderlies says, Doctor, do you want us to take him to sickbay or are you going to treat him here?
We'll take him to sickbay when he's stable.
Okay.
No, wait, treat him
So
here.
the-
Show off our amazing medical technology.
So
Is he
the
stable now?
two of the orderlies take out a pair of handles that have a little bar connecting them, and they get to about 6 feet from each other, and snap them like this, and it generates a force field between them. So, okay, we've got our, and then they just leave it there floating in the air. We've got our gravitic
Gurney.
gurney ready when you are, Doc.
Can I ride it like a surfboard?
It's a hoverboard.
I suppose you could.
That's for our captain approach.
I was just wondering, you know, like in theory, if in the future I had to use that, if it would work. I'm not
So-
doing that.
I mean, if you want to go down the stairs with it while shooting arrows at something.
Jennings! You know,
So he suffered massive brain trauma. This device is obviously designed specifically to kill in this fashion, but normally it would take some time for them to die. With the miracle technology of the 25th Century Federation, you can save his life. You can save most of his cognitive functions if you put in optical networking to replace some of the areas that were damaged, as seen in the DS9 episode where Vedic Beret gets parts of his brain replaced.
Right. But doesn't he kind of become a weird, detached
Well,
cyborg?
the problem is that he's suffered brain damage, and so as the conference is going on, the stress is causing more and more of his brain to die, and they keep replacing more and more of it.
Okay.
There's a chunk of this guy's brain that you will need to remove and replace, and you can save his life. And he will be fine after that, as long as you don't have to replace his
so
entire
is he
brain.
safe to
Do you want
move?
to give them that?
He is,
kind of
he is
thing?
safe to move. You have stabilized him.
All right, Captain, my patient is stabilized. Thank you. I'll be taking him to sick bay now.
Very, very good doctor.
So, the orderlies help you get him onto the gurney.
All right.
I'm gonna step out.
Stewards, we're going to forego the rest of dinner this evening.
The stewards like descend on the table with the special cleaners to clean up the blood.
I feel like we've had to do this a few times.
Yeah. The Falternad representative.
I like how she actually left.
The Falternad representative leans over and says something to the Falternad, who's actually a spy, and then that one leans over to you and speaks to you in a fashion that would not be breaking his cover, and says, "This has been a very instructive dinner, but perhaps we should have more separate party talks afterward."
I think that would be agreeable if it
Does he
is,
say that for the whole table to hear? or
He's
just
saying that
for-
to.
I think that would be agreeable to us, as long as it is favorable to all parties, certainly.
So everyone starts getting up and filing out. Calcud Supreme with his happy expression.
He uses the creature pose, doesn't
Yeah.
he?
His commander kind of mad dogs you a little bit, like doing the "I bet I could take you," and you're like, "I could fold you over my
If you're
knee."
feeling froggy, jump.
I'm so
I'm gonna give you a momentum just for that.
I so want to look at Calcris Supreme and say, you can't sit with us anymore, Palpatine.
So I will have said that.
Okay.
Like,
So if you feel it, fine, you jump. And he looks a little bit taken aback, and then he looks over at the commander, the Supreme. The Supreme very, very gently is like,
You mean you're not going to show them a new way to do dimensional folding?
maybe later.
yeah.
I really just want to punch a Nazi right now.
I will make him two-dimensional.
What is this frog you speak of?
And everyone is taken off to their various diplomatic staterooms so that this mess can be cleaned up and sorted out.
Right.
So that leaves you with a couple of opportunities. Either you can cancel everything and send them home. You can run Operation Dickens. You can,
I still love that.
yeah. Or you can, as the Falternad representative suggested, you could have a little sort of sidebar with each group individually and get sort of their perspective on what's going on as a result of that diplomatic dinner.
We're going to do the last two simultaneously.
Okay,
But,
so you're going to have Captain
Probably
Jerkbag
need
in
to
the
set-
holodeck and
Yeah.
then meet with the other members of the Confederacy. And
we're
see-
gonna be like, we're gonna say that that's the excuse we're gonna get to make him go to the holodeck, right? And-
separate party talks.
Right, but I mean, we'll actually do that, but that's how we're gonna get him into the holodeck for Operation Dickens. So,
Good Dickens maneuver.
Okay.
That's so awesome.
So I'm going to go over a couple of them fairly quickly then. Speed through just some necessary stuff to get to where we want to go. Your meeting with the Biferex goes pretty much as you would expect. They are sort of a known quantity for you right now. They were horrified by that display, but not terribly surprised by it. Dickens representative, whose name I wrote down somewhere, Malus, says, this is something we've come to expect. They're almost like caricatures of villainy because they believe that expressing their power in that way gives them power. That they don't have strength unless they show it off. Everything is external. Everything is, how can you force the world to bend to your will. The barbarics say that they will absolutely follow your lead in these negotiations, and that they have no desire to enter another war with these people, because given how ready they are to sacrifice their own people, that would just become a monumental slog and a huge drain on their resources.
I'll bring up the Earthcracker thing. They don't see that as a permanent solution, like the tectonic weapon.
The problem, she says, is that if we deploy a super weapon that's designed to completely wipe them out, we've backed them up against the wall. They have nothing left to lose, so they have no choice but to respond with equal force.
I'm happy to hear that. I just wanted to...
She says, essentially, given the new status quo, some of our quants have run some new analyses of the cost-benefit of this relationship. And essentially, backing them into a wall means that they have no reason not to exterminate their entire species trying to destroy us. They're not just going to sit there and wait for us to kill them. They will throw themselves at us with horrible losses in order to inflict casualties. And we're not prepared to accept that as a viable outcome. Anything that will stop that is preferable. And that means that the use of our superweapon is merely pressuring them to try to overpower it. It's escalating the situation.
I'm glad we see eye to eye there.
Okay. Meanwhile, the Copteran representative, the autarchs, they are much more reserved about this whole situation. You get the impression that they're deep thinkers. They've been processing a lot of what's been going on as a result of this. And the Copteran representative says, as you're having your separate chat with them, I am impressed with the amount of self-discipline and restraint that your officers were able to show. Your chain of command is very strong. And it kind of eyeballs Ethan and the Romulan Centurion and whatnot. Says, I noticed that this act that they undertook was very egregious and offensive to you. It must be a strong violation of your culture's mores. The Kelkrid excel at these sorts of provocative acts in order to show that no one can stop them from doing them. We are not entirely unfamiliar with these sorts of tactics ourselves. The Kelkrid are a strong people, but dangerous. That is why we have a common alliance with the other members of the Confederacy. The Kelkrid are simply too dangerous if they are left to their own devices. But you seem to have some sort of solution in mind, or you would not have called for this meeting.
Let's see. I'll let. I guess we're all back in this meeting.
Right. I'm just sort of assuming that these are like you're having. Okay, dinner is canceled. We're going to have a little separate conference with each group, so that we can figure out what they're doing and what page they're on. And you've noticed that this specific one, the Copteran autarch that you're talking to, is like saying stuff at you, but is really kind of addressing it to the Romulan and to the Augment, the people who had the strongest reaction to the things that went on during the dinner.
Are these the...
They are not the psychic ones.
They're not.
That's the Faltranet. But you don't know very much about the Copterans. They're the ones you know probably the least about. You know that they're an autarchy, they're avian, that they have noble titles and things like that. Beyond that, you don't really know too much.
Fox and I'll start with Fox. Commander Fox has been investigating possible ways we can bridge the gap between all the civilizations in we're in the Kazon cluster still, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Using investigating technologies that might be mutually beneficial.
Commander Fox.
That is correct.
This is the parrot-like creature.
Fox?
Yes.
Fox?
The Kelkrid Supreme mentioned you are a Klingon from a warrior race. Our people had a strong warrior tradition until we finally brought about peace under our world government. But the Kelkrid have never abandoned warfare. you perhaps are in a position to see both sides of this debate. How did the Klingons make their transition from being a warrior race to being a race that was capable of dealing with other species?
The unfortunate thing is that it seems that we reached that point through exactly, well, not entirely the philosophy that Calcrit Supreme is proposing, but strong personalities were able to influence the Klingon Empire. Men like Worf and Martok and Jempak were able to influence the Empire in a direction of, I'm hearing my own voice, it's weird, or influence the Empire in a direction of alliance and working together. Our culture has never really abandoned the warrior ways. We've just grown to look at them differently. We don't believe, I think, any less in the strength being the ultimate goal, and honor and conquering being the ultimate goal. But there are many more Klingons like myself, who see different kinds of conquering being a way to our afterlife. I myself have no particular desire for violence, and I'm actually quite terrible at it. But I find that through finding scientific discoveries that have never been discovered before, I am conquering new worlds myself, and therefore opening my own way to. Wait, is Stovacor the good one?
Yes.
Stovacor.
Curious.
Space Valhalla.
Lieutenant, if I may ask a personal question. Did they engineer the desire for conquest out of you?
Interesting question. Previous versions seemed very, it was just their nature. They saw themselves as better than everybody else, and therefore they should be in charge. But that's been more, certain aggressive tendencies are lower, which help, but the main thrust of curtailing such desires is more educational.
Are you satisfied intellectually with your role as a subordinate in this arrangement?
Are you happy being the captain's daughter?
Being the captain's lackey.
Being the cabin boy.
Well, unlike Worf, I listen to what he says.
Oh.
We can't talk about it now, but there was a super interesting Reddit thread about that. About how
Worf?
About how Picard always shooting down Worf is in direct contrast to how Kern treated him when he was the officer, and he was always kowtowing to everything he said, and how that annoyed Worf so much more than the way Picard treats him. And I thought it was really interesting. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
What was the question?
Do you still find it intellectually satisfying to simply be a junior officer among these rank and file instead of taking a position of leadership where you could enact sweeping changes for the betterment of your society?
I'd be lying if I said my work was a challenge. I enjoy other activities that the position provides.
Oh my.
Interesting.
Well.
In our society, members of the royalty, such as myself, are all engineered, and we have been for several generations. It is a privilege of rulership, and then the responsibility that corresponds to it is that we must use our superior intellect in order to rule well over the less fortunate.
I guess to make the situation easier for you to understand, there was a period of our evolution where we did as you did, but the experience of that was mostly negative. So my culture tends to frown upon such engineering.
Interesting. For us, it is a way of life now. It has become part and parcel of how we continue to thrive. It is only through the superior intellect of rulers such as myself that we are able to make the discoveries and handle the necessary bureaucracy to run a planetary civilization effectively and safely.
Maybe you did it better than we did.
Most other cultures did better.
Yeah.
Yes, you are correct. on that front.
You're not sure. They don't have
Denote
mammalian
different
characteristics. You don't have to he or she.
Wait, am I there, or am I still in sick bay?
You're
probably still-
replacing someone's brain, so
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can probably grow new
Brain-
Brain
doing
goes
it with-
brain.
You have an
Yes.
intern for that? Or
You're
like-
doing it with, but you're
med
doing it with
student?
super cool laser fingers. So
Yeah.
I mean, you can leave it up to an intern if you would like to be here. If you want her to be here, she can certainly have an intern do it.
I mean,
The intern
Oh, no.
can absolutely have this
having
guy's
a
life
good
in his
time.
hands.
I'm fine doing laser fingers,
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
she's in her element, with fingers deep in meatballs.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Swedish
Is it
meatballs.
part of the brain
Concrete
or-
meatballs.
yeah.
Okay.
We'll just put the brain over here and then fix everything and then put it
Anyone
back.
else is Swedish?
Ironically, the Celtic brain
Stop.
is several spheres.
Stop it.
All right. Anyway, so what his reaction?
So he actually sort of seems pleased by your response. His feathers ruffle slightly. And he says, well, I should like to think so. Imagine some of the disasters that could have been averted if the Federation, with all of its vast and technological resources, had been led by super geniuses who are able to foresee the problems that it would have, instead of by rogue admirals.
Well, like I said,
Shade?
What rogue admiral?
Rude.
the last time people like me were in charge, they proved ultimately inadequate.
Perhaps it's a flaw in your species.
Well, their reach extended further than their grasp. And
That sounds deep.
now the future generations pay for those mistakes.
I'll chime in and say, you know, at that point in humanity's development, we weren't wise enough to build in a culture of service in our leaders that you at least verbally expressed just now, and maybe that was a key difference in how that all played out.
Yes, back then, ruling was more about obtaining power. Actually, quite like the Kelkrit.
I would never order one of my servants to perform such a gross act. A horrible waste.
So gross.
We have, of course, some transmissions from the Romulan peoples. Many of them are encrypted and we cannot make heads or tails of them. But I understand that you have roots with a common ancestor. Is this why the Romulans never adopted genetic engineering technology? Because your common ancestor influenced this in some fashion? You get the impression that he's talking about, of course, the Vulcan schism, but instead of doing genetic engineering, essentially the Vulcans did psychic engineering, if you will, on your own species. But he probably doesn't have all of the knowledge necessary to formulate it in that way.
I mean, we are who we are. And if we adapted genetic engineering to create who we want to be, then we would lose that part of us that makes us unique. I mean, it's not to say that experiments like that haven't been tried by the Romulan Empire.
They worked out very badly for the Klingons.
Oh yeah.
But it in the end, it's never been the ideal situation for our race.
I see. Perhaps our race simply has an affinity in this fashion. Our species, if you will.
So superior.
Yes.
It was-
Preen.
After meeting other cultures, it seems like they developed the technology when they were ready. We developed it earlier.
I mean, I'm sure you'd probably be very excited to meet the Dominion at some point or another, but they are quite a distance from us.
I'm not familiar with that.
That's what you.
Probably a
fine.
good thing.
It's fine. It's fine.
All right.
Let's.
Let's get to
Onward.
Operation Dickens.
Yeah.
All right.
Is there any?
So-
do you want to do the Faltronad real quick, or is there anything? Do you want to just like, what did we learn from them?
The Faltronad representative, that's not one of your secret intelligence agents, is very sort of closed-mouthed about it. It says, the Kelkrit Supreme showed you his true colors at that dinner. I expect that you understand now completely what he is about.
Is it only the Biferics who have the common device, or do they all? know
Only the
that?
Biferics have it.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
like they told us they weren't going to use it, but like if Mr. Faltronet here is, has a grudge. Like,
Your sort of surface understanding of the Faltronad is that they have access to all the technology of the Confederacy due to technology sharing, but they have a very low population base and they just don't use a lot of it. They're sort of not really keenly interested in progress with a big P. So the Faltronet representative continues and says, I am deeply sorry that you had to experience that trauma, but I understand that you are doing this for a good cause, for the betterment of all the people of this area of space.
Indeed. We it's certainly the overarching goal of the Federation to seek out new life and new civilizations, and it's my privilege to act as at least a temporary ambassador to those new civilizations, such as yourselves. Certainly all of our privilege to do that. And we have I kind of explain our mission, like we're on our way somewhere, but we require permission. So that's actually one of the things that we would have brought up with the Copterans as well. Like once we're done here, can we go through your space too, because you're on the way.
Right.
So I don't know if they have. Right.
Yeah. The Faltron representative says, I have no problem with you going on your way. To be honest, if my people had our wish, we would simply be left alone. But without the support of our allies, the Kelkrid would simply annihilate us. And so we have no choice. All the things that the Copterans and the Biferics have brought to us have been bad for us in some way. But it is a necessary price for our survival.
Well, we're happy to leave you alone as well, as long as you're fine with us moving through your space once this whole ceasefire negotiations are concluded.
We have no quarrel with you, but I understand that you have been through a great many adversities. I see it in the way that you have built this ship. It is designed to travel, but it is designed to fight. It is designed with many redundancies because you value the lives of your people, but you face such great hazards
Their tech deal
that
powerfully.
the simplest safety measures are not enough. You care so deeply for their lives that you take extreme measures to save them, but that speaks to someone who has suffered extreme hardships. I am sorry for your species.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
Some of us have had it worse than others.
Why you starting?
But out of adversity, we find the strength in each other, and maybe that's something that in the future you can look forward to experiencing as well with your neighbors or with the Federation.
We've tried to show this to the Biferans and the Copterans. They are slow to accept the value of these things. The Copterans, because they believe that they have a system that they have engineered to be correct, and the Biferics because they only believe what they can touch and hold and measure. We believe that the universe is greater than that. You cannot measure justice or camaraderie or compassion, but these things must exist for you to be complete as a people.
Do
you want to just skip to inviting
no,
them to the
I know
Federation?
what I want to say. I just don't want to keep, like, I'm hogging right now, and I want to move on to
Well, I
Yeah.
think we definitely earmark these guys for,
Yeah.
we should probably invite
I want to
them.
say that, like,
I don't know if they'd want to join them.
in your way, you're, there's something that's important about your worldview, and there's something that's important about the physical world that the Biferics value so much, and there's something important about optimizing for success and understanding the universe in the way that the Copterics do. So, there is value in all of these perspectives, and it's important like the Triforce in Zelda.
Do you not understand your reference?
That's a complete
Shaka with the
different
lion
Final
tail?
fantasy, why are we singing this?
You need courage, and you need wisdom, and you need power.
Power's the third one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's kind of where we can
Together.
Let's beat Breath of the Wild last night, it was
You
great.
guys want a group hug?
leave that.
Thank you for your time. I would like to consider your words so that I may give you a better reply.
All right. Well, you're welcome.
Here's Gramps.
Let him hang out with Counselor.
Right. Yeah. Go. Good feels.
Go and smoke these pipe, count the good deals. Okay, so I think it's finally time
Yeah,
for
sweet.
Operation Dickens.
Awesome.
Just about an hour left.
Okay, perfect. And so I guess you're in your formal ghost costume.
Ghost
So what
kitty!
So which,
Formal ghost bikini.
which
Yes.
ghostly things are we going to show them?
So I know what I want to do with him, but I think I would like to go like second or third if I can.
Okay.
I have an interesting.
I wanna.
Do you want to separate him from his officers?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're going to just get Calcrit Supreme himself.
Right.
Say, this is a special meeting of the minds of the top.
But the
people.
way I want to do that is actually have him come in, holographic field around him so he
Mhm.
thinks that his officers are with him,
Ah,
beam them out, but he doesn't know that they're not there anymore, and then it's like the whole like environment.
Things happen.
Things happen.
But wouldn't
Okay.
the officers be able to be like, beep, beep, boop, boop, captain, where'd you
I
go?
mean, we've got dampening fields and stuff.
yeah, your technology's way
Not
better
if
than
they're
theirs.
in the
Yeah.
brick.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in the brig because they're accessory to murder, so attempted murder.
Right,
Right.
yeah.
So.
Technically, it's attempted suicide.
That's
We'll let the Federation courts decide that one.
Well,
That's an interesting legal discussion
We'll
for
drop-
Commander Riker
I mean-
to take on in a different episode.
We're gonna drop the
Dr.
charges later.
Feelgood would have
Yeah.
a field day with them about their
Listen, we
suicidal
can hold them for
attempts.
48
Yeah.
hours.
We'll let,
Right.
we'll let Sugihara.
Right.
but I'm not going to spend the next hour role playing by myself. so.
But I'm
Thank
just-
you.
I'm just suggesting that, if you were to roleplay by yourself, Dr. Feelgood would have a good time with them.
All right,
Dr. Goodfeels.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
good
feels.
feels. Dr. Feelgood is very different. He
Yes.
knows how to make him feel good. Knows how to make him feel all right.
The Delta is Dr.
All right. Anyway,
So,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so you move to the holodeck.
Who does want to go
Do we have
first?
a roll
Actually?
for that?
The engineer says, "Dee-dee-dee." I have
I
the
feel like
captain.
whoever goes first should be putting him in a situation that's not that out there. Mine's kind of out there.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, who would like to go first? And do any of you want to share?
I mean, they're gonna have to share eventually to do the thing. So.
No, he means do you want to team up? Not do you
Oh,
want to
Right,
share
it's
it out
like,
loud?
for instance, you could, for instance, relate the destruction of the Belfast, or a scene from the Iconian War, or something.
The one thing that I was thinking that I wanted to do, regardless of which battle it was, is basically put him on his own ship,
Mm-hmm.
or at least a close approximation of it, during one of the big battles, like Wolf 359,
Mm-hmm.
where, like, here comes something that they talk about as being awesome, like, oh, well, here's the Borg, they're a singular purpose and a singular leader, and look how awesome they are, and then watch them get smoked.
Ah,
Basically, it's like, yep, here's all that singular vision, and then...
So that would actually be like the Hive Q, or not the Hive. What's the Delta? Where the Undine and the Voth and like everybody shows up to like pick apart the Borg.
yeah, the Borg
Is
disconnected.
that just every
Disconnected.
board
Yeah.
Yeah.
cue? Yeah.
Basically, that's what I'm going to do. It's like initially, it's like he gets to see. Oh, look, you can see that the cybernetic Nazis are
Like
so
how you
much
became
superior,
German.
and then
Just
black,
out of nowhere.
black. Wait, why are they destroying the geodesic shapes? I do not understand. They were winning a minute ago. Now they are losing, and look, the little blonde peoples are winning. I do not. That's what I want to do.
Just to be clear to everyone out there, I'm not saying I don't like Germans, I'm saying I don't like Nazis.
So anyway,
Well, he had my idea.
Huh?
So.
He had your idea?
Yep.
Oh.
Well, then you should both do it together.
Sure.
You both
together.
together.
Well, yeah. Well, mine was going to be that I was just going to send it give him his fleet, his whole fleet,
Yeah,
and
one
just,
Borg sphere.
and just send him up against. Here's 3 birds of prey. or a Borg vessel.
I think the Borg are the
Here's
most
a
terrifying.
USS Pathfinder.
The thing is they already know that we can smoke them. We want
Right.
one of their
Right.
fleets. I wanted to basically let him start off by seeing, the thing we were talking about earlier that the counselor said, it's like, they love to see what they think is their values winning,
Mhm.
but then showing them ultimately that is
Yeah.
So there's problems.
Borg
Yeah.
pun, futile.
So would you
Like,
have it? Would you have it be like start at Wolf 359 where it's like blowing up the Borg sphere is like blowing up Federation ships, and then it like dissolves into Disconnected, where like all of a sudden like the Lost City ship shows up and the Undine show up and like. Isn't
Or
there
the
enough-
beginning of First Contact,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
where, suddenly the Federation's fighting back and winning.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I want, that's ultimately what I
Okay.
want
But
to
we
do.
actually showed them the Borg. Here's an alien group that has almost all your ideals.
Mhm.
I mean, when you think about a lot of the big bads that are like that, I mean, the Iconians were kind of like that,
Yep.
Borg were definitely like that, and they ultimately get undone.
You
Yeah.
could do something with.
It's like there's a common denominator between space jerks.
Right. With
They're jerks.
with
Yeah.
like showing Khan either getting defeated by Kirk, or which actually I don't know if that's in the public record. I don't know if the events of Star Trek
Because
2
By
are.
this point,
by
it's
this
probably
point it is.
declassified.
Yeah.
It is
Alright.
available to Starfleet personnel at large.
Okay.
Shortly after Genesis Planet Forbidden, so probably
Right.
not.
So either that or him actually getting exiled from Earth, where he like actually has to run away.
Oh, yeah, we could show a simulation of the
Right.
Khan's
Third
defeat.
World War.
Right, the torches and pitchforks coming
Yeah.
from.
The
We,
tiki torch.
we could show the utopia of Khan, and then here's how it ended.
World War III.
What were you? Did you have
Yours.
So I was thinking
It's
of doing,
superior.
of having the Alachi, or the
Alachi.
Alachi ships would come and
Pathinder.
pick off the people,
Mhm.
and then the inevitable like rescue missions.
Uncredited actor.
Okay.
Yeah, my chest is not up to that.
Okay. Let's do that first.
Okay, so you lead the Kelkrit Supreme in. You get the secret message that your engineer has whisked away his assisting officers, and they have been replaced with holographic duplicates. And he says, so this is your vaunted holodeck technology. You are going to show me something. Show me something intriguing. I love to see super weapons.
Oh, so who's going first?
Well then, we have some meatballs and,
I think your first.
Yeah.
You guys are up.
oh, we're up.
You're first.
Alright,
So you're leading him on sort of a tour, and you're like, let us show you the holodeck while we converse about our relative cultural values and how we're going to talk to each
And
other.
then pew pew.
Yeah, and see if, before the night is over, the Romulan comes over to the
Actually,
table and
well,
chokes the life
I
out
thought
of
we
him.
were actually just gonna take him to the holodeck. He doesn't know it's a holodeck. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be appointed like a.
Okay,
Room.
I'll
Right.
back that out then.
Right,
So
right.
you take him to a conference room that happens to be the
Right.
holodeck.
It's just these doors
So,
are bigger for some
right.
reason.
Right, and he's got his officers with him, so he feels like he's still got some level of control
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
situation.
Over
And
who
then-
kills themselves around him.
Yeah.
And then Kiona snaps her fingers and the guards kill themselves.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I kind of want that to happen.
And then Kiona snaps her fingers and the guards sit in cardboard boxes and begin licking themselves.
that's right. Why are you making my gods bathe themselves?
Okay, so you lead the Kelkrit Supreme into the chamber unwittingly, and he looks around. I don't know if you've just set it up to pretend to be a conference room, I guess, for now, so that he's not suspicious at first.
Yeah.
And he takes a seat at the conference table, and he says, I think I have made the position of my people clear at a diplomatic dinner, but I can certainly enlighten you further if you have additional questions.
Real quick, I just had an idea. What if we do the simulation, I'm just throwing a wrench and everything. We just do it all straight man and ships being attacked by the Borg.
I think that's a great place to start, because that'll throw him off in the beginning.
Right, like we're not like, and here is the threat, enjoy. Like we just have like the ship is now under attack by this immense
Oh, like the
threat.
simulation is like it's really happening right
Right,
now.
Yeah.
and, no,
he
and
has
also,
use of the Pathfinder's weapons.
yeah, and also we're gonna dial back the safety protocols.
So you can feel like the heat of the
You
fire.
can feel like,
yeah.
basically like, it won't kill you, but you will get 4th degree burns,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I like that idea.
Stand by.
Did you say,
Yeah.
did you say fourth degree thing?
Yes, this is space, and we have plasma.
I think that's great. I think that's a great segue into the whole
Yeah.
like mind trip thing.
Okay, so he's saying, you know, basically he's saying, show me your hand.
Mhm.
And how do you want to open your diplomatic segue?
Just basically kind of going through a long, maybe I'll read the preamble of the Constitution.
We
Nista.
So starting it off with, you know, kind of formalities like, you know, thank you for taking this time, but just getting snapped right into red alert.
Okay.
Like
So,
mid-sentence.
yeah, you're saying thank you for coming to visit us, and he says, it is no trouble. Honestly, the Confederacy is about to fall apart. Everything is going to change here. They are an unnatural alliance, if you will. It is only the presence of my people, and then all of a sudden, red alert! What? And he says,
We are the poor.
my goodness, what is that? It's not my people attacking. I have given them no orders to do so.
And I'll be like, one moment, and, you know, I'm just playing along. It's like, you know, Keona to bridge.
What's happening?
Why are we at red alert? Who's attacking?
I'll do it. Oh, yeah, I'll
Be
act.
hollow
Yeah.
Commander, we've
No, more panic. Come on.
Commander! A warp tactical cube just dropped out of warp. I don't know what they're doing in this part of space, but they've engaged us already. Keep the diplomats safe while we try to fend it off. Yeah, we're like, boom!
Activate the ablative armor!
Right.
Yeah.
Understood. And I'll look at the Calcrit Supremo's like, I don't suppose your intelligence dossiers have any information on the species colloquially known as the Borg.
I'm afraid that all that we know is that the Romulans seem to have some contact with them. A technology exchange?
Allow me to enlighten you, and I'll basically go to a console, call up, basically, they are a species that is a cybernetic collective, a hive mind, if you will. And I'm really basically subtly pointing out a lot of the things that he thinks is so awesome. Singular leader, I'm talking about the Borg Queen.
Yeah, they
I like how
one
he's-
will.
I like how you're going through this conversation while like
Like
presumably
things are exploding.
yeah,
like
out the window you see
Shake,
the
shake, shake,
the
shake.
Pathfinder's like swooping around and dodging like plasma blasts and stuff.
Like, Commander, do we really have time for this?
Right? Meanwhile, Fox is just at a console
It
flying
just
the simulation on a
explodes.
joystick.
And I'll be like, of course.
needs
They
more
are,
VFX.
Needs more VFX!
They are,
For
of
the
course,
budget's free.
they are, of course, very of singular purpose in mind and quite formidable. Or rather, they were quite formidable.
Oh.
But diversity is a weakness that they do not, suffer. They are, as you pointed out, a singular thing, and yet it is diversity that has defeated them.
Are we safe here? He says, or should we return to our ships?
I'll look
So
at him
when he says that, I assume I'm
Explode a
watching all
console.
this.
Yeah.
I want to
Everyone
like,
is watching.
I
Feel
want
free
to program, like
yeah.
I want a
Chime
board
in.
to like beam in to the conference room and like start fighting.
Oh, against
Chris.
Ethan. Oh, no.
Or just wait, he still has his bodyguards. They should assimilate a bodyguard. The
Yes.
whole bodyguard?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
So
good.
2 drones gotta beam in.
Yeah, and just insta-assimilate the bodyguard.
All right.
Yeah.
So, 2 heavy tactical drones beam in. Commander
Feel free to
Lamore.
make us roll for any of this.
Oh, yeah. All right. Ethan, you weren't told in advance that the captain was going to do this, so your elite tactical drones beam in. You're
Yeah.
no dummy, so you're like, okay, clearly someone has thrown a wrench in the simulation, but whatever.
It's not a wrench. It's garnish.
All right, right. Color.
It's a delicious
I-
wrench.
It's improv.
Yeah.
I can adapt.
It's like
Welcome
Peter
to
Games.
role-playing, everyone.
Okay, so one of the drones starts moving toward Ethan, and another one starts moving toward the Kelker. Kelker Supreme guys go for their guns, which are gone, and say, weapons, we need weapons! One of them picks up a chair from the conference table, throws it at the board, and bats it aside. Actually, no, yeah, you're right, the board wouldn't even bat it aside because it would not evaluate it as a threat. The chair just goes bonk, It's all right. The board-
We have adapted to chairs.
The board
All is lost.
stands the chair and then
The
keeps
Hulk
moving.
Hogan based plans are
You
ruined.
see basically the little green line that we always play when things adapt.
Just as adapted in green.
Yeah.
Chris Menard made that effect, folks.
Yay.
All right, so Ethan,
Yeah,
you're being approached by a heavy tactical board drone.
I'm gonna give it the old 1-2.
Okay.
You're being approached by a heavy drone.
Just remember to lose so that they look scary. You gotta be the wharf, man. You gotta be the wharf.
We'll see if I roll 220.
If you can't be the wharf, at least be the fox.
Oh.
Hooray. No, I'm the GM.
So it's a 19.
Oh,
Oh, all right.
So
So,
pretty
not a
good there.
complication.
It's
Oh no, the holodeck safeties.
it's daring and what security.
Watch out for those 4th-degree burns.
Hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah. So, all right,
Fortunately, Borg don't have a very high daring rating.
I succeeded. So I'm just gonna take him and like throw him to the back of the room. And be like, let's get out of here.
All right, the Borg got 2 successes because hand-to-hand's contested.
So it hit
So
you.
I got 2 successes as well.
All right.
So I don't know.
So
who
what winds
wins.
up happening is the Borg sort of lunges at you, and the assimilation tubes come out of its hand right toward your neck, and you grab its arm, and you hear the servo motors whining as you're holding the cybernetic arm in place.
I'll
Yeah.
channel data. Stop.
Yeah,
Stop.
the combat music starts.
Refresh my
You
memory, how does assist work in this?
you roll the same dice, or the appropriate skill dice. Chris, save us.
For punching or what?
Yeah, or in hand-to-hand combat.
Assist punching.
So it's a contested roll. It's a two difficulty.
Okay,
Um,
if I want to assist,
It's still
or if you're assisting, then
I'm
just roll,
assisting you.
just roll a dice, and if you get a success or not, that'll be the tiebreaker.
But the same stats that you rolled for.
Because what I'm attempting to do is I'm also using it's one of my special awesome Cation abilities, which is coordinated hunt.
Oh,
If
So I can get
assist,
protected.
if I assist successfully, Chris will get an additional 2 effect
Okay.
on the attack.
all right. So his unarmed strikes, I think, do knockback.
Hold on. Wait, higher momentum.
Quick, cut to commercial.
Yeah. Reading sheets, the best part of live stream
Are there
gameplay.
more fan arts?
Having rules not memorized.
We'll
Jump
get
started,
there.
Chris. Why don't you know everything by heart by now? You've played this game
House
3
rule it,
times.
quick, house rule it.
So we didn't. It just says if you have more momentum, you win. I don't know
All
what
right.
it means.
I don't
You're
think-
going to roll your assistance.
So
Okay.
yeah,
You're going to
it
give him
says-
the normal assist bonuses. So you give him extra
Oh, we'll probably
successes.
see.
In addition, you can grant him extra effect. So if you get successes, what'll happen is that you help him in the grapple, he'll be able to overpower the Borg and do damage, and then you give him effect because of your special Cation sauce, which lets him trigger his knockdown ability
I-
So
from
I'm
I-
assuming
yeah.
this is fitness plus
It's
security,
unarmed.
yeah?
Daring.
Daring plus security, all right.
Yes.
So that's a 14,
Do remember, gentlemen, we're trying to show how scary the Borg are.
12.
Try to like what the
Okay.
So I succeed.
Okay, so you give
we
Chris
just have to
success.
we have to escape the conference
Yeah.
room. Right.
So you just got a success and you just got a bonus of +2 effect on whatever your damage roll is.
Oh.
Right, so that means that you actually managed. So there's struggle for a second as Ethan's
So-
fighting with the Borg, and
So
I
yeah,
guess
while I'm fighting, then I
his
do some.
incredibly engineered muscles
that I-
flex.
Yeah, so it's sort of like evenly matched strength-wise, and then
Yeah.
I do some kind of like judo move.
Well,
What happens is
Yoda
you're
comes around
doing
behind.
this, and I go and I weave in between his
and
legs.
then you like then you like get down behind his
Kitty,
back of his-
why?
I'm moving in and out of, and like wrapping the tail.
So yeah, Kiona comes up behind the Borg and grabs and slashes down its back with her claws, and several of the plastic tubes that are stuck into it come tearing out, spewing out liquid and sparks, and that gives Ethan the opening he needs to overpower it. He steps forward, trips it, throws it to the ground with a resounding slam that actually causes the room to shake slightly.
So yeah, so I got
Damage.
Pressing the Calcrit Supreme.
so I
Hopefully.
have six damage. I'm gonna use his effect to
Mhm.
knock him down.
Right. Okay.
The +2 that I gave you,
Oh, you have +2.
+2 effects.
+2. Well, then that's 7 damage, plus knocking him down.
Okay.
We're really
He
good at
assimilates,
hunting in
he
packs.
re-assimilates.
So he's been knocked down. Kelkut Supreme shouts, defend me, to his officers.
Everything.
But they got
And they don't.
Yeah, the guy who has picked up the chair, he lunges for your phaser, which is on your belt. He gets 1 success. I presume you're just going to sort of like palm him off.
It's like,
I remember these are holodeck versions of the Stooges,
Yes.
right?
So
But they still
he's
must behave.
susceptible to doing whatever you need him to do because he's a
Right.
program.
sure.
So yeah, he goes for your phaser. You sort of like, no, palm him back. And the other one steps in front of Kelkut Supreme, and the Borg drone just comes up and whack, hits him with the assimilation tubes. And there's that horrible, horrible moment where you see the black veins of evil go over his already dark gray and oily face.
And then he turns around.
His skull-like
Color?
appearance turns into this weird rictus grin. And he becomes completely stiff, like all of his muscles are suddenly spasming at once. Must be a unique response of their physiology to Borg assimilation.
I am dude face
Looks-
with Borg.
Really unpleasant.
As he's transforming, I make very subtle alterations to his model in the holodeck. Not obvious ones, but ones to just make him look a little bit more like Kelkut Supreme as he's dying. Kelkut Supreme.
Well, he's not dying, he's being assimilated.
Sorry, he's assimilated, being
Yeah.
assimilated, as he's losing
Yeah.
control of his body and
So
mind.
he falls over like a statue, just clunk onto the ground, and then he twitches several times, and Kelkut Supreme says, "What are you doing? Get up, stop them!" And then he turns and then starts reaching and crawling toward Kelkut Supreme as well.
Yeah. Time to
Um,
go.
All right, you guys exit the room
Yeah.
and into the hallway.
Yeah. Stuff
There's an
like
explosion,
fire.
Explosion.
red alert lights are going off.
Yeah.
Crewmen
People
go
running down
flying
the
against
hallway.
bulkheads.
You see, like down at the end of the hallway, crewman Ensign Ricky is like shooting a Borg, and it's ineffective. And the thing comes up, bats the phaser out of his hand, lifts him up, and then just throws him to the ground. It's all holographic, of course.
Like,
But
Keanu at a bridge, I think it's time to call in our reinforcements.
Okay.
And then I'll look at the Kelkut Supreme like, I don't think we came here in just one ship, do you? This is a very dangerous part of space.
yeah,
So I'm gonna. We kind of said that we were gonna like explain this as we did it, right?
Right.
So you're okay with us sort of
yes,
not retconning?
help narrate it.
Right,
yeah.
right. So was that's the trigger to? Are you guys just gonna like float in space to the battle in First Contact, or like how do you want to
What I was
set-
hoping we do at this point is basically the reinforcements is where everybody just basically, it's Federation ships just popping in out of warp, out of nowhere, and just, effectively, Battle of Earth.
Oh, so like
Well,
Instead of that, it's here.
right.
I think we got to give him a little more flavor before we save the day.
Right, he's had a personal moment, a brush with death, but
Well, no, we need to give him the Borg got him by the throat, and it's like, oh shit, I'm looking at myself in the mirror.
Well, I think you can combine that with Paul's idea, like that can be the end of, like, as he's watching the space battle where the Borg get destroyed.
Yeah.
Then at the very end of that, Borg grabs him by the throat, and then we transition to whatever's next.
Right, let's do that.
all right. So you guys go running down the hallway. There's an explosion, and the corridor seems to blow open, and someone gets sucked out into space. Then the emergency force field goes up. Ethan, meanwhile, is heroically holding everyone so that they don't fly out into space.
Yeah.
You
Well, I know what I want to.
rush down the hallway to one of the turbo lifts. It's broken. Lever open one of the access panels to get into the Jeffries tubes. It's just like one of those training simulations you have. You guys find yourselves crawling through some of the passageways and making your way past part of the navigational deflector, which in the simulation has been blown out by a Borg positronic beam. So there's this giant hole into space, and there's kind of a momentary pause where you're looking out into space, and you see like debris out there, the giant Borg tactical cube just vaporizing Kelkut ships and other ships from the Confederacy that are facing it, while the Pathfinder is making crazy maneuvers left and right, trying to avoid the enemy
And
weapons locks.
you're actually at your station pretending to fly right now.
Yeah, simulated flying.
Simulated awesome.
Simulated momentum.
Silver momentum.
The group makes it up several decks and into another hallway where it looks like Several Starfleet officers have already been assimilated and are starting to turn this deck into Borg technology. The Kelkut Supreme says, why don't we just get out of here? There's no reason for you to stick around. Just warp out. You're faster than any ship in this sector.
They prevent it.
Way to sell that one.
Well, sure, I'll do some technobabble
Okay.
about that.
Or we could just get hit by a tractor beam at that exact moment.
Oh, yeah.
We do have
All
a
right.
pretty boss.
So Thox is like, boop, and then wham, the green
And then
tractor
the
beam
ship-
hits, and the ship shakes as the cutting beam starts cutting
And
into the hull.
There's one point where I see that, and I like look up at one of the nearby like security cameras and just kind of roll my eyes.
And then we have the captain of the color. They've locked onto us with a tractor beam, and that's all going to tell me. That's why.
Meanwhile, your
And I
finger
just
is hovering
nod.
over the
Yeah.
evasive maneuvers button going, no, don't press it, don't press it.
Polarize the hull.
Polarize it harder.
But our science officer's busy. He can't do it.
Yeah, he's in cooldown.
I'm a corpse probably on the bridge, just to explain why I'm not
I
there.
do not
Right.
hit the icon with the wiggly line.
We have
should
to get
take
to the
him
bridge.
Breaks the tractor
Should take him
beam.
to the bridge and then have the captain die and then have
Yeah.
him be the captain.
Someone's gotta have to Riker it.
Oh no.
Oh, I have an idea.
So,
Just
yeah.
for the book end of this is like whatever happens, and then we immediately jump right back to the conference room and be like, "Are you okay?"
Oh, good idea.
Okay, so
You don't wanna knock him
a
out
group
and
of
then
those
wakes up.
those Borg drones, the assimilated Starfleet, still in their uniforms, but with
Right,
the pasty
the
white skin and the
the
bits and
satellite
stuff
dish
coming
on the
out.
cheek.
Yeah,
Big salad spinner on their head.
right.
Yeah.
Start approaching you like the space zombies they are.
Yeah.
So,
We start shooting them.
all right. Oh my
the
gosh.
cats.
I just got an Ethan roll.
Did we get momentum for that?
Yours is
Broke the
superior.
hologram.
So Ethan like pulls his phaser, blasts one, it staggers back and falls over dead. And Kelkut Supreme says, "You're killing your own men. I didn't think you had it in you."
They're gone.
The
It's been ass immolated.
one of the Kelkut officers says, "Give me a weapon. We need to fight back."
Give him your best gun.
But of course, he's just a holodeck simulation,
Favorite
so
gun.
he does
Yeah.
whatever you want him to do.
Sure. I'll give him the type.
You could just grab the one off of the
Yeah,
assimilated
yeah, yeah.
dude.
Just the holographic one.
Right,
off
so you
the
give him the
guy.
holographic phaser off the Type 1 dude, and you give it to the hologram who's pretending to not be a hologram.
Right.
The-
Oh no,
We're breaking the game master slowly.
but
the
he's
game in the
sentient
game.
now. We can't kill him.
Oh no. And he shoots at one of the other ones that just absorbs it with a green shield. The Kelkut Supreme says, "What's happening? Why is your weapon not effective?"
They're adapting.
Because they're ruled by a single mind.
Well, can you beat them in hand-to-hand combat?
I can.
We can certainly try.
Okay.
Are we near? Are we near Thox's quarters?
Oh god, Jesse's counting up on something.
I'm counting down threat that I'm spending.
Ah.
So, the Borg relentlessly approach you, and you're like, "Yeah, I got this. This is a simulation."
Well, so unlike the characters on the show, I will actually adjust the frequency on my phaser.
Okay, so you remodulate your weapon,
Right.
and as
I'm
you're
doing the
remodulating,
same thing while
yeah, you're remodulating your weapon, and one of them moves forward and lashes out at Kiona, gets 2 successes on an attack.
you
You
get
get to make an opposed roll, daring plus your security.
I'm actually going to take the complication to get the determination and basically get assimilated right next to the Kelkut Supreme. Because
Okay.
guess who's next?
Yeah.
I'll be like, go on without me, Gurk.
All right, so it goes whack, and it hits her hard, and Kiona goes thump up against the wall.
Another
You
chippy.
bring your phaser up just as the assimilated officer assimilates Kiona. You blast the assimilated officer, but you see the nanites spreading over Kiona's
Oh boy, oh boy.
flesh.
Is it
and
momentum or
her-
regular
her
determination?
determination, right?
You're seeing a complication, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, so you're giving me a determination?
I'm getting determination for doing that.
Oh, you can only have one, I
Oh.
think. Or no, you can have more.
You can have up to
No.
3.
Yeah, you're good.
So Kiona's fur starts changing into this dead grayish hue.
Dead kitty!
Yeah,
And I'm so wanting to spend this to be the one who assimilates him.
and you feel
Do it,
Do
do
it.
it, do it.
you feel a horrible crawling sensation as your consciousness starts to become distant, like something has gone horribly wrong.
Maybe someone should have turned off all the security protocols.
They weren't all turned off. This should never have happened.
Oh God.
So,
I'm gonna
God
spend,
damn it, Denova!
I'm gonna spend that determination
To not be assimilated.
and basically just keep the simulation on track. We're going to have words about this engineering and do like I said, basically like do the kibosh on this simulation by being, Borg Kiona and assimilating, or at least starting the assimilation process on Ketket Supreme before we snap out of it to do Chris's bookend.
okay, so what is Ethan doing? While you're fighting, struggling against the feeling of the nanites closing in on your consciousness. So you've knocked away one of them, shot another one, remodulated your phaser.
Right.
Wait, are we gonna expose him that we're
Actually-
tricking him, or is it gonna be like, and then instead of
So
assimilating
what
him,
I
put him
can
to
like
sleep and he wakes up?
him being like strangled, and then it like pops into
Whatever Ryan's doing.
whatever Ryan's
Right.
doing.
But I want to be
so-
the strangler.
Sure.
In true horror movie fashion, after I'm like, had this cool display, I'm gonna turn to like, get to the bridge, and then you see,
Right. Yeah.
All right.
But I want to be the strangler.
yeah.
So you
In
get
the
extra
true-
simulation nodules. He and his one remaining guard that has the borrowed phaser make
Right.
their way over to the holodeck that's on sea level, so it's still functional.
Yeah.
And they start making their way
There you
towards
go.
the bridge. And then you also feel this weird cold sensation spreading from the spot where it hit you, and you're like, that's totally not right. This isn't what the simulation should be doing. Okay, both of you can get one roll of reason plus science. Difficulty is
Cool.
1.
Did the freaking computer replicate Borg nanites?
No.
Okay.
Listen, we didn't get that specific on the.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be able to do that. That should
Yeah.
be a no-no.
No. So just so everyone's clear, I don't go into the game assuming that your characters are dumb and making stupid mistakes.
Right.
You have to do that on your
You're
own.
not a staff writer on Star Trek.
Right.
2 success.
Okay.
What are we rolling?
This is reason plus science.
Okay.
Difficulty 1.
Wow, look at that.
Nothing good.
Oh no.
1 and 4.
Okay.
Super.
All right. So you guys generate a bunch of momentum, which you're going to need because you got a net. You got 4 successes. You got 2. So you got 1 over. You got 3 over. So you get 4 momentum for the pool.
Yeah.
And you both realize at the same time as you're feeling your consciousness being pushed outward, you're like, this isn't the simulation. This is something from outside impinging on your consciousness. Something is affecting you psionically.
Oh man, if only there were telepaths who we just talked to. God damn it.
Would that work really well on me?
I mean, you're not psychic.
Eh.
You weren't engineered for telepathy.
I think it would.
You're telepathetic. Let's put it that way.
Well, it's a good thing my sister's not here.
Yeah. Okay.
It's this
So,
Gene
on the
Craig.
bridge, you see everything seems to be going as planned, crazy pants in the simulation, and then you're like, oh, okay, they'll be getting to the holographic version of the bridge soon. The turbo lift in the simulation, there's just a holographic version of the bridge, which has the holographic versions of your cells. You're
Right.
watching your doppelgangers on the bridge fighting, and you see the bridge view screen is showing the battle that's going on and the crazy veering and shooting and what Pathfinder's trying to do. The captain heroically ordering them to remodulate phasers, fire a full spread of transphasic torpedoes.
Right.
The dead Thox lying next to his console. You know,
Which explains. I order the use of those bio warheads. That we have.
yes. Yeah. Yeah, the
Were those
neurolytic.
just for the Undine?
Did they work on the board?
These guys don't know.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah,
It
Yeah, I
sounds
can
cool.
program you whatever you want.
Yeah.
Up,
Yeah.
down, down, left, right, B,
Right,
start.
yeah, you're like, use
Fire
the
the
neurolytic
neurolytic
warheads.
torpedoes.
Yeah.
And they're like, sir, that's restrict ordinance. It's like, captain's clearance, code 1B, 2B, or whatever.
776B.
Yeah, some code
Charlie.
you'll never guess.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
That's the same code I have in my luggage.
And the
It's not
Centurion's
0,
like,
0, 0, 0.
weapons free, captain's prerogative, firing. This weird green sort of streak launches out from the Pathfinder and erupts over the the Borg cube, and Fox isn't there to call out what's happening inside, but you hear Ensign Ricky at the science station shouting, "We're seeing massive casualties from the Borg drones. They're being overwhelmed by the neurolytic energy. 20, 40, 80% casualty rate among their drones." And then an entire chunk of the main view screen just poof, is gone, blown away. Hole into space, much like in Nemesis. Once again, security fields come up almost immediately to prevent people from screaming off into space. Sorry, Hawk.
I'm sure the helms person is shocked at it.
Hey, that's the helms person.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm holding on for dear life.
All right.
Holographic you.
We are trying to lose.
And
Yeah, I'm
The-
okay with everything. I don't like duplicates of myself anymore.
Actually,
Yeah.
that would be great if like it seems like we're winning and he starts to calm down and then there's like a Borg,
right.
her Borg hand is on
Right
his
on his
shoulder.
shoulder.
Yeah.
Right. So that works great for me. So there's the crash. All the lights go out and then they come back up, and he's like, "Did it work? Did your torpedo work?" And then suddenly there's a hand on his shoulder. It's Kiona's Borg assimilated hand with his
Right.
7 of 9 outfit. There's a
Resistance.
cat suit.
Resistance is futile.
Um,
Poke.
Your
Yeah.
unique biological blah blah
And
blah.
Oh, I don't even
He
get
goes,
into that. He just gets the cut.
Well,
he
Yeah.
seizes
He
up,
gets the
Hold on,
catchphrase.
hold
becomes
on.
extremely stiff, and then he falls over like a cardboard cutout. And then he just lies there. Doctor, give me a control plus medicine roll.
Uh-oh.
Control,
Mhm.
12, medicine, 5, 17.
I'm gonna use those dice.
3 successes.
He's gone into a state of neural arrest, similar to having a stroke.
How many momentum was that worth?
She got 2 momentum.
Really? So
Yeah,
many?
we can momentum now.
What's so I'm just like what?
Oh, you can
what-
spend momentum to get extra information.
Oh, because we don't know why people are.
Going in.
Yeah.
Why weird things are happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know, you don't know.
Yeah. I guess I'll do it because that way I can blah 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 blah.
All right,
They're
you're
about
like-
to pass out.
Okay, he's suffered some sort of neural shock. It's not as a result of the simulation. It's a receptor in, I don't remember the names of the various parts of the brain. I'm so sorry to everyone on the stream.
Hypothalamus.
Neurotransmitter.
Thank you. Which is receptive to psychic emanations. Someone has psionically
The
attacked.
thinking box.
Yes, his brain has been turned off.
Oh. Does that mean his heart's gonna stop beating too? Because
No, his consciousness has been suppressed. It's like when you deploy a general anesthetic to someone. You
Oh.
turn off their "I am conscious" and now they're just
But
sort
the
of functioning
important
bag
parts
of
are
meat.
still okay.
Yeah.
Captain,
All right.
someone is
so-
using this as an opportunity to attack us with psionic powers.
Is there anything you can do for him? This is sonic powers.
I was like, I suppose I could try stimulating the part of his brain that controls whether or not he's conscious.
You could reboot his brain.
Yeah, like kind of like if he's sleeping, wake him up, right?
Right. Yeah.
But do we know about?
You just get one of those head massager wire things
Ah.
and you attach an electrode to
This
it.
is kind of throwing a big wrench in our plans here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to use your neural
what's,
uninhibitor.
what's the status of our crew in the holodeck? Are they all right?
They seem to have suffered some sort of
Yeah.
external overload
No,
as
they're
well.
not okay.
They are living the simulation right now.
Captain, I believe they're.
So they
stuck.
forgot that they're.
They may.
Yeah,
truly
they
believe
actually
they're
think that
born.
they are drones
Yeah.
in a fight on the Pathfinder.
Oh,
at the
God.
moment.
I'm gonna go
Can I-
assimilate Hollow Captain Moroni.
Can I
Ah! Why?
can I beam some
Who's the
psionic
captain now?
inhibitors
I
onto
think
them?
You could. Malus
No.
has them available because the biparacs use them.
I suggest we try putting them to sleep, Captain.
Go to the holodeck with an esthetine gas.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
Or Queen Kiona.
Okay. You put everyone to sleep and then
God damn it.
bring them back to a secured area of sickbay to figure out what to do next.
All right.
Strap you down too.
I like that psionic inhibitor. Can you replicate that? Maybe.
Absolutely, I'm sure. Let me roll for it. How much difficulty on this?
Your engineer will do it.
What?
Unless you want to roll.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine.
Okay, so the engineer says, yeah, it'll take me about 10 minutes. I can get a few of these done. Now, they're made for biopharynx neurology. We'll have to tinker with them a little bit. There might be some side effects. Nothing fatal.
Well, we,
Felchenrod, they betrayed the Confederacy.
the biopharynx, they aren't psychic, are they?
Correct, they're not. But they wear these things that inhibit psionic influence on them.
So,
I think we're
So they
understanding
can be
now
better business
why.
people.
it's like, well, who,
What, doesn't the Federation have psionic inhibitors? Isn't that a thing, a plot point that's come in Star Trek before?
Sort of. Like, there's the phase-shifted personal shield in our
Okay.
Spectre's plot line, and there's the stuff from Whom Gods Destroy, where they meet the guys that are telekinetic, and they're like, oh, well, we're going to take this drug and be telekinetic too. So, experimenting with psionic phenomena is certainly within the Federation's bailiwick, but it's probably considered fringe science.
well, there were the other,
Frontier medicine.
because
Oh,
the
that's right.
Darwin Station kids that were full telekinetic.
Right, yeah.
There are, but it's they're I think created for the first time in Beyond the Nexus, which hasn't happened yet. So
Right.
we don't have them. Okay.
Alright, keep the Comfort Supreme sedated, but I want the commander and Lieutenant Yeager on their feet as soon as possible.
Alright, I try to
thoughts
wake them up.
and-
All right.
Yeah, I'm sure
So-
with our super space technology, we can make a version that doesn't need to be implanted in our brains.
Using medical technology.
Ah, there we go. Let's see your roll.
Is that, I mean, it would be medicine and something.
You're sort of pioneering some new stuff because you
Yeah.
don't know the nature of this telepathic intrusion. It's not like you can just dial the frequency to
Can,
Vulcan mind meld.
Can
Yeah.
Fox assist her on this?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. What am I
So-
rolling?
Just roll
So
one
we're
dice.
doing
No, I know what skill am I
we're
rolling?
doing reason plus medicine for you, reason plus science for you.
Okay.
Medical technology is applicable to you. Psionics is applicable to you, which you probably don't have.
Don't have
that
psionics. No.
Are you aware of the Rigelian?
But that's okay. I got
Depends on who got told.
Interesting.
She knows, you know,
Yes.
up to whether you told anyone else.
Well, let's say, so if you know about the Rigelian, you might want to ask.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm gonna kind of contact them and like come to sick bay immediately,
Okay.
basically, so we can talk while.
All right.
they're-
Intelligence officer placeholder arrives in sick bay.
for you.
I got
All right, we were going for
We got
difficulty
five total.
3. This is pioneering some pretty difficult
So
new
five
stuff. So
total.
you gain 2
uh,
momentum, and you build a little device that you can take from the neural stimulators that are normally used in sick bay and attach to someone's forehead and cause it to amplify their natural neural pathways, so it'll override attempts to do psionic override on
Steady,
them.
steady, I don't want to fry his brain.
Well,
Beep,
maybe.
beep, boop, boop.
Do you really? But
She doesn't want to fry their brains.
consider, yeah.
You could spend momentum
Fried
to
brain sounds like it would be high in cholesterol.
make a better version.
I can what?
So you can give yourself an advantage on what you rolled. So you could, in theory, like build a better.
To make one that
version.
doesn't have side effects.
Right, and then you don't
Yeah,
have to
let's,
stick in your
we've got a
brain.
lot of momentum, we should do that.
Yeah, start using your momentum. Things are
Yeah.
going pretty sideways.
Right.
So
Okay.
you spend one.
I use one, I spend a momentum to make sure that this is a newly engineered product of high quality.
Okay, so you put together one of these inhibitors of your own design. You start trying it on Ethan with the theory that he's more robust and so he's less susceptible to
You're
suddenly
just a
dying
final
and having a stroke.
He's a less canon character.
It's true.
Yeah. Also true, we can't kill Kiona, she's in the game. So,
I'm expendable.
yeah. The
Plot armor.
But it's just a quarter.
It's like, let's try this
you make some
out.
adjustments to the cortical stimulator and then suddenly you wake up. You're back in control of yourself. But you remember very clearly for about 10 minutes being a Borg drone.
That was weird.
Are you okay?
I
Tell
don't
me
know.
your name.
Once you get the proof of concept,
You all wanted
you
playable
take
Borg, and now
you take the
you
razor and you go bzzz, and you shave a little spot on Kiona's head, attach the thing to her, and turn it on. Boop.
And then you have to put her in a coma shape.
brain?
Yep.
What the hell happened in there, Commander?
I believe that we were somehow subjected to intensive psionic manipulations. We believed we were Borg.
That's terrifying.
Tell me about it.
Did
You
I-
still remember it, you're gonna have to see a counselor.
Did the
Dr.
placeholder get
Goodfeels.
here?
Yes, placeholder has arrived.
All right.
Dr. Goodfield has some treatment.
Reporting for duty, Captain.
Yeah,
Do you want me to
it's
join your
probably
BOF roster, or?
I catch him up on what happened and be like, yo dog, like, why didn't you warn us about this shit? Like,
He says, he looks very concerned, and he says, I wasn't aware that Faltronad psychic ability was this extensive. They have a sort of shared dream trance that they engage in. It has part of their cultural history tied up in it. It's very deeply personal to them.
is the fact that this guy's Rogelian how he can blend in? Like,
Yes.
He's able to like mask his
Like he thinks,
psychic profile or whatever?
He can fit in both by pretending to be like a, he says, essentially I pretend to be a mental cripple.
Oh, okay.
I am like a betazoid who doesn't have telepathy, as
Right.
far as their species is concerned. So in some ways, I'm treated as if I am lacking in things, but the Faltronad have a very egalitarian culture that's built around mutual support. And as a result, they see this as an opportunity as well for me to do things without these sorts of limitations. Every Faltronad's experiences impinge upon their shared consciousness. So when they encounter things that are radically different or extremely dangerous, it creates an impression, it creates ripples in their dream state that spreads between all of their people.
So you don't think this interference was conscious?
I think that the level of interference was not deliberate. I think that they don't necessarily have the fine control you would expect out of a Vulcan mind meld, for instance. That for them, this is, it's like projective empathy. They share their experiences and their feelings of people, and they have the ability to get people to relate to them through this.
wait,
But when dealing with other species, outsider species that are strange to them, you've imprinted upon them your own experiences, the traumas that our people have suffered from the Iconian War, from the battles against the Borg, and those things have become reflected in them. And they can't control that once it comes out.
wait, if they were hooked up to our brains while we believed we were bored, does that mean we've got a bunch of Falconet on the ship that think they're drones too?
I don't think so much it's that they believe that they're Borg, but now they have all, their entire species, once this propagates through their dream network, will have a shared memory of that experience. They will know what it's like to face the Borg. They will know what it's like to face the Iconian War. They will intimately understand all of the things that we have faced.
If only we could broadcast that to the Kelkrit.
Yes, that's a very good idea.
That may have been what they were trying to do.
Well, remember how when I examined the prisoners, the Kelkrit suicide bombers, I guess, they had like mental scars from brainwashing and stuff. Does that race have any sort of like psychic powers where they could have?
The Kelkrit are not innately psionic as far as we know, but it's entirely possible that some of their conditioning is made to reject that sort of connection.
How, let's say they were aware of what they were doing, like not this time, but is this something that we could harness to improve relations between these species? I mean, you're talking about a magnifying glass for empathy.
Essentially.
Projecting empathy onto someone, which is, that would have saved billions of lives in Earth's history.
It's possible. The problem is that it's not, as I said, it's not something that's very easy for the Faltronad to control. For most of them, it's just a shared sensorium. Just like you could watch a video that the lieutenant has from her records and then say, oh, this was your 12th birthday party. Now I understand that experience. Most of them have the same level of participation. It's passive. A few of them have the ability to shape it, to control it, to send messages through it. But even that is a very hit or miss because it impinges more on the subconscious mind than on the conscious experience, usually. These are the people who were in the early days of their culture, their shamans and their spirit guides, the ones who could shape what their culture's feelings and thoughts were going to be. But now you've introduced a new variable into the equation. You've introduced an entirely new set of experiences and cultural values that they've never encountered before. And digesting all of that is going to be a monumental leap for them. Now, you're further asking one of the few that has the ability to control and shape that to do it in a very specific way across species boundaries.
Well,
It's not impossible,
Yeah.
but it is a monumental task.
Perhaps we could build some sort of cerebral enhancer.
I was going to say, what if we could build a device that enhanced the natural abilities being on display here and broadcasted on a wider band?
Could the holodeck already be doing that?
It certainly seems like it is.
Because it focuses what the images are.
Okay, I'm going to examine the data, because I assume that just Pathfinder being
Pathfinder
passive data being
picks up
built at all
everything.
times.
Yes, you
the
have
examine
logs from the holodeck.
Yeah, holodeck logs. I imagine, and you can tell me if it's different, that
Yeah.
something is happening with the holodecks, holo projectors, and how they, interfere with your senses. That's boosting the signal of this psychic energy and making things more real. I want to see if that's something that I can boost and direct, say through the deflector bit dish with a, I don't know, proto-psionic graviton pulse.
Some
Okay.
sort of anti-something field.
Anti-time.
Anti-field.
But I mean, you've created the super weapon to end the war, the empathy ray.
I'll take
That's super
it.
weapon I've ever
We've
seen.
learned-
I would
Weaponized
build one of
empathy.
those tomorrow if I could.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay.
Coming to a lockbox near you.
Yeah.
Oh.
No,
I'm gonna play off of my value. There is honor in the stars with this, because this would be the ultimate.
I'll allow it.
Paul, can you roll for the
Yes,
ship?
yes, I'm going to use science to make a better tomorrow.
She gets to assist on this.
So,
Okay.
So what's the ship rolling to
Ooh,
assist?
Ship is using, let's call it sensors, plus
if you're using your,
science, I
you can
believe.
add an auto crit.
Sensors plus science?
Yes.
Can I
Okay.
add an autocrit?
If you're using your determination.
And how many dice does the
That's
ship
almost the end
roll?
of the game, sure, why not?
Do it.
The ship rolls 1 die.
Alright, so there we go.
Boom.
Crushed it.
So you said sensors plus science?
Yep.
It got a 15, it has a 15 to hit.
All right, so that's
So
another hit.
7 successes.
Okay.
Wow.
So,
Well, it was
so Thar
difficult.
says, I'll be in my lab.
I'll be back.
Okay, anyone else have specific thoughts or things they want to do in the meantime?
Well,
Remember, you still have a Faltronet dignitary on the ship.
And 20 minutes
Yeah,
left.
we
right?
need
Yes.
to, we need to
Yeah.
talk to him and make sure that, I want to explain to him what's going on, because I don't want to just harness this, I don't want to like harvest this without his knowledge or
Harvest his
consent.
empathy.
So I want to see, like, we can send you home safely. You don't have to deal with this. You know, you don't have to experience anymore. We think this was an accident, and we want to. You know, I know that like interacting with other cultures isn't really something you're excited about.
And now you know why.
Right. Yeah. But. And I think I should roll for this.
Okay, so you go down,
Yeah.
you press the button on the door for the guest quarters, and then there's a ragged sort of enter. And the door slides open, and this pungent incense wafts out.
All right.
The lights are all very dim. You see the Falconet representative, he's sitting there without a shirt on, just sort of in a meditative pose. And he slowly tries to get to his feet, and he leans against the wall, pushes himself up, and continues leaning there. He goes, I apologize for abusing your hospitality, Captain.
Abusing? What are you talking about?
I was attempting to play on the desire to bring peace and build a connection between people, but there is so much in the undercurrents of your people, I could not control it. So many tragedies, so much suffering.
Doge.
So can I do an insight check, I guess?
Yeah.
Because I don't, when he says play, is he trying to take advantage of us, or was he trying to do what
I think he was trying to help
I
us.
think he was, you can roll insight and
Mhm.
see if you can sort of get a play for his motivation.
So is that insight command?
Yes.
Or- okay. Nope.
Okay.
Wait, you want to spend some momentum?
Yes.
We have a lot.
Would you like to
Now
spend
is
a
the
moment?
time.
Yeah, now's the time.
So what,
So it's-
add another die?
So it's
or-
3 is 2 dice, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Yeah.
1 is 1 die, 3 is 2 dice.
We'll do
I
3.
feel like yes.
Roll well. Good job.
Whatever.
2 more is another die.
No, it's fine. I failed all 3.
Okay, not your night.
Yeah.
So all you can really tell is he's monumentally exhausted.
Mhm.
do you have anyone else with you when you come to his quarters?
I guess it would be the doctor and Thox.
Okay.
Yeah, and Kiona.
Fox is busy.
It's a party!
I mean, I'm listening in on communicator on the channel, but I'm definitely in my lab
You are
right now, like
working on
moving
stuff.
particles around and
Yeah.
Okay,
playing
yeah.
mini games that were
That's
designed
fine.
by a fan. And
Let's
Right.
say it's the XO and the doctor.
Okay,
Let's do that.
so he says, your associate, your helmswoman, she has powerful emotions. I tried to tap into that, an ocean of power. It was too much.
You're so oceany.
I lost control of the visions. The dream escaped me, and the world was overwhelmed. I wanted to show your hope for peace, but instead I showed all of the fears that you had. What would happen if you thought you had failed? What would happen if you thought you had faced it again?
When he says that, I guess I say something about like being in Starfleet is always a balance between the anticipation and fear of the unknown. It's finding the joy in the unexpected and finding the strength to persevere when the unexpected proves to be terrifying. But that's something that we do every day. And maybe you can find that strength in the crew beyond our tragedies. We also have our triumphs.
I am sorry for overwhelming you, he says to Kiona. It was not my intent to take control away from you in that fashion. But the dream escaped my grasp.
Well, I think there's a lesson to be learned from some of this, and that is to not risk such activities when the repercussions could be quite severe.
The survival of my people is at stake. What could I not risk?
Well, we had a thing we wanted to talk to you about.
Turns out.
Funny story.
We have a plan.
Right, so I
Yeah.
calm Thox, Page Thox.
Okay.
Dr. Thox, can you...
So, Fox, you're working on stuff in your lab, and you're like, okay, one of the things that you're doing is
Well,
you're getting all kinds of data about the signals, unconventional signals that were going on in Pathfinder while all this was happening. Because, psionic stuff interfering with their people telepathy and messing with the holodeck imaging and who knows. And you notice that as soon as Kelkrit Supreme went unconscious, a signal went out.
Okay. I trace the signal?
So it's from him. It's a dead man switch.
Oh god.
But he's not there.
I start
but he's inert. He's comatose.
I start scanning
His consciousness is
for
off.
space folding immediately.
You're like, oh yes, they are spinning up.
Okay.
They are coming.
It's thoughts to Captain.
Bernie here.
A large Kelkrit fleet are about to space fold to our position.
I assume
They, I
also on
believe,
the
some
ship?
sort of.
What's that?
I assume also on the ship?
Yes,
I believe that the
because you got to
Kelkrit-
punch some Nazis before we're done.
Right.
I believe the Kelkrit Supreme let off some sort of distress signal automatically when he fell unconscious.
All right.
Would
So,
you like me to stop them, Captain?
Ooh.
Would you like me to murder their entire armed forces?
well, I mean, we can deal with them.
We also, Captain, there was a really good suggestion from below decks, check, earlier about maneuvering the ship so that where they are teleporting into is just the brig.
We can't do.
We can't do that.
It's
Their
relatively
technology
Yeah,
prevents
that's
us from
right.
doing
You.
But you know where it's
but,
gonna be, so you could site
What?
to site.
Well,
but remember, everything is relative to the ship's mass. But you can change the ship's effective mass with warp
that.
fields.
Oh my god.
Which is my thing! Yes!
Oh my!
I'm sad that I had to tell you that, but
Like I
Show
know
what's going on.
pseudoscience from the future.
Oh,
Better have an actual PhD.
they did this in an episode where Q told them to change the gravitational
Alright.
constant.
Alright. Okay.
If it's 30 seconds, I don't think Thox has the time. I think he
No,
just
no.
does this. Right? I think he's
I
just
mean,
like.
well, it depends how well he rolls.
Yeah, I got two successes.
Okay.
Would
you
you
want to spend
like
any
to
momentum?
spend for more?
Let's
You-
spend at
I
least.
think for this one, you probably wanna-
We're about 10 minutes from end of game, so I don't mind spending for another dice.
Spend some
please.
Would
momentum.
you like 2 more dice?
Let's get 2 more dice, sure.
Yes.
So that's 2 successes. That's 4 successes.
Okay.
And the ship, I think, rolls for this too.
The ship also rolls for this. Engineering.
The stats?
Engineering plus
Science.
where's the ship stats.
Oh, that's right. Next time.
This is going to be engines because you're using the warp fields.
Alright,
Remind me, every
engines
time the ship hits
plus,
me, I can reroll and die.
engineering?
Yes, engines and engineering.
Alright, so that's a total of 13.
So what's your?
Wow.
Oh, warp field, right.
Got a
Roll
1?
Yep.
I can
Roll the
only
1.
5 though. That
That's
makes-
2
2 more!
2 more.
So I think you crushed it.
Yeah,
Alright,
that would be
That was
another.
fortuitous.
So I had 4, so that'd be 6 successes.
Okay, so yeah, the Pathfinder's engine suddenly, the pylons move position slightly, and then the warp fields spin up.
Everyone, hang on to something.
Well, I mean, are there enough signals that will fit in the brig, or do we gotta do like Cargo Bay 3?
Well, they don't have long-range scans on you at this point because you wiped out their previous fleet, which means that they just have to sort of be like, they're over there, jump a bunch of people. So you're going to get a bunch of people in the brig and a few people in space. Can't really be helped.
Can we log on to the?
Yes, of course.
Transport
You
to
can-
the bed.
You can recover them with transporters. They will survive some short period of exposure to vacuum. They're greasy like that. Okay, so you spin up the warp engines, you hear the distinctive of space folding technology as a large contingent of Kelkrid commandos space fold into the brig. A few of them space fold into space and
One
are
of them has to
quickly
go into a bulkhead.
whisked away. Yeah. Why? Why was I the unlucky one?
All the bodyguards are just really confused.
Yeah.
One of them gets folded through to the mirror universe.
Oh gosh.
They'd be right at home.
Mirror Kelkrid.
They're all nice
Well,
guys.
if they were mirror, then they would be all like, would you like a flower, brother?
I'll take over everything.
So so several of the Kelkrid are mirrored off. Others are transported. You transport several of them from space directly to sickbay, but you have to put them into basically a contained facility. And you find that the ones that are in the contained facility in sickbay are actually wearing armored suits. And when you check the brig, you're like, oh, they're actually wearing exosuits specifically in case they get exposed to vacuum. So they're safe, but that also means that as they beam into sickbay, and you're like, hey guys, what's happening? Oh, I don't have to treat anybody. And then one of them's like, and throws a grenade at the force field. Because they're
Ding,
jerks.
ding.
It bounces off the force field.
Now you're going to
So-
have to.
So that
It's like
bounces
level
off the
10
force field.
Can I go sick bay to emergency transport this thing?
These
out?
guys back out into space.
Can they do that though? Because usually it's like on this mark or like.
Yeah, you would normally
or
you would have to
something.
put your communicator on it or something like
Quick,
that.
transport the grenade!
Yeah,
Damn it!
that's essentially what happens. You're like, sick bay, we have an explosive device, or transporter, we have an explosive device in sick bay. Can you? And then,
No, I
it
think-
detates, kills one of the guys. He just
Yeah, I was gonna say, it would probably be better to try to transport the guy out
well,
of the
and
force field
the
into
force field
brig.
goes and flickers.
Yeah.
And Ethan rounds the corner because he knows that they're coming.
I'll say it
Did
would-
you ever give the
It probably
green
would have
light?
been better to transport them to
Okay.
the brig or somewhere else.
Well, several of them are in the brig, but you were expecting the ones that arrived in space to be like exposed to vacuum and have to come to sickbay. Only when they arrived did you discover, oh, they're wearing EV suits because they figured that they might wind up in space.
Yeah.
Since they just were sort of flinging themselves at
So
Pathfinder,
it's
they
not
don't
like
have
I
really
can
good
just
scans
like
of you.
beam all these people out right now.
Right, so one of them blows up one of the emitters, the force field flickers, Ethan comes around the corner. Space jerk guns come up and let's see
Here
if
we
they
go.
can stop him. Here we go!
So is it a rifle?
This is a rifle.
What are the stats for a rifle?
I got Kelkrit disruptor rifle.
It should be on the papers. I
Wait,
think.
do you
Yeah,
wanna activate the Legion? Is that what you said?
Well, they're all in sick bay, so there's no real reason.
Yep, disruptor rifle, 4 vicious.
Oh god.
1 success, so that one hits. 3 successes,
What? Are they shooting at me?
they're shooting you
Oh,
as you come charging into sickbay.
okay.
not
So
No, you look like a helpless doctor. They don't know that you're actually doctor.
is this lethal damage or not?
Yeah, it's disruptors. They don't have stun.
Okay.
Don't forget you have a personal shield.
Yep.
Spack, spack.
Slap a bow.
How much damage did they do?
So, wow, I have to roll a lot of dice. Oh, good lord. Vicious is
You
It
get
was nice knowing you.
one damage for
Good
every
thing you're in
effect.
sick bay.
hug.
But fortunately, you have body armor and a shield, so at least you start
So
off with
there's
at least 6
8.
resist.
8 damage.
From the first gun.
Okay.
Oops, that's too many. And 4 from the second.
What are our rules for personal punch shields again?
The personal shield, oh gosh.
Was it? So it starts at 4 resist, and I believe every time it gets hit,
Yeah.
it goes down by 1
Well, no,
until it has
when
time
when you
to.
roll an effect, I think we said.
Yeah, you roll an effect and it
Oh,
loses.
it goes down by 1.
Okay.
We do.
So spack. The shield blunts the first blow, but it hits you in just the right spot. 4
Oh,
gets
yeah.
through,
I gotta do that twice.
and then
No, it's good the second time.
back. So the second one gets hit, shield resists it, 3 damage is absorbed, and 1 gets through.
Yep. No, I didn't like that.
Someone's about to get punched.
People in the chat may notice that I'm still conscious.
Yeah.
Shoot her! Shoot her!
Alright, the phaser rifle doesn't have wide beam, does it?
I think all phasers have wide sight.
Phaser.
Phaser,
charge?
yeah. I was like, I used the phaser type 2 last time and it had wide beam.
Yeah.
So that was good times.
Did you have a phaser rifle on your back? Like, where'd that come from?
The DM says I have one, so I'm going with that.
I mean, I did just invade your ship with a bunch of Kelkert and EV suits, so
We had-
which you knew were coming.
We knew they were
So the
coming.
tactical officer, who is a
30
super
seconds.
genius because he was engineered to be such, says,
Alright,
Yeah.
They're in our ship invading our dudes.
lock and or load.
alright, I wasn't sure we had enough time to get that set up, but it's fine, don't
He's
worry
an
about it.
Osmond,
Keep
he
going,
always
keep
has
going.
enough time.
By reflexes.
All right,
Good reflexes.
hit him.
We'll find out.
Yep.
Okay.
My reflexes are pretty good, bang. Oops.
So that is, it's control when shooting?
Yeah, control for shooting, daring for melee.
14. That is 3 successes.
Boom, boom.
Just too high to not be a crit.
Okay.
So, okay.
Effect?
3, 2, that's a lot of blank dice.
And 1 Starfleet badge.
That's an effect.
Let's see.
And 4 explodey things.
That's a lot of damage.
Okay, I'm gonna spend a momentum to re-roll all my zeros.
Ah.
Nice.
Sounds like cheating.
It's sanctioned cheating.
This is much better. Only 2 came up with jack shit. Alright, get that one. Is it vicious?
You're using your phaser, which is not vicious, right?
I don't know, I don't have a rifle on my
You're
chart.
using a phaser rifle, which is 4H accurate charge. It does do 2 escalations, so that's nice for you.
It's accurate?
It's accurate.
What does accurate do?
It's not on here. No, it is. You can use the aim minor action before you attack, and then you can re-roll any of your d20s.
No.
You didn't have time for that.
I didn't have time for that.
Yeah.
Baby charge.
Yep. So there's a bunch of guys there.
So there's like 3 guys. One of them just got blasted by his own grenade.
Yep.
2 of them are shooting at you.
All right, I'm gonna click on the split beam.
Ah.
So I don't think we've done that one yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is. Did you say it was vicious or no?
No.
Okay, so I got. I don't know what to do for the other effect, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Is it expose or exploit?
It's 9 damage.
Split beam is exploit. 9
That's
damage,
9 damage.
on both?
For
Okay, so
whoever's
you
standing.
You shoot a couple of them right in the center of mass with your
Yep.
split beam.
Yeah.
Um,
If the randomizer's working, one of them will go. "Ah."
yeah. All right, so he blasts a couple of those guys. The rest of the team, let's see. You're aware that things are largely under control. Fox, you are pretty sure that you can build a device that will allow you to generate more precise control over the Falconad's sort of projective ability.
Okay.
It does bring up sort of the ethical question of like, is it ethical to impinge on someone else's choices by making them feel something, but
While they're attacking us, I'm less worried about it.
yes. So it's an interesting sort of super weapon, the love gun.
Yeah, so someone was saying we need to make a Betazoid escort with the love gun, with the empathy ray experimental weapon.
We're the
That's a
guys
good
that were
idea.
still standing.
Actually,
Right.
dealt with.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you did 9 damage to each of them, which is
Right.
kind of absurd, as I
Yep.
recall. So,
Okay.
so you blast both of these guys. Ooh,
Well, they had body armor.
sit
so I'm
down.
sure
Well,
they
they're wearing
said-
EV suits, not body armor.
Okay.
So
Remember EV suits suck.
it's not easy. They're not super tough compared to you.
All right.
Uh,
Well, I just wanted, because I don't know, if one of them's still standing, I can let the doctor go next.
One of them is got a smoking crater in his chest right now because he grenaded himself.
Can I save him?
Should you? Maybe he should learn his
I
lesson.
mean, they're in the sick bay. I'm supposed to, try to treat all the people.
We'll grow him some new lungs.
Just-
Bye.
I'm just gonna walk over and kick him like-
Holographic lungs.
There you go.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Oh,
can't move.
yes.
So you quickly clean up the brief incursion. Since you had the technology, you knew what to expect. The Faltronet diplomat, again, apologizes profusely. He says, we aren't really receptive to other people's emotions the way that you would normally expect empaths to be. We can sense each other's feelings through this shared dream. But this means that as we've come to know the Bifarics and the Copterans, they've become shared in the dream as well. The Bifarics have closed themselves out with their technology so that they're afraid of it. They're afraid of a world that they cannot measure and feel and hold and build and use. The Copterans, this is why I was so desperate. Some of the autarky has come to believe that perhaps it is time for them to make a separate peace with the Kelkrid. They believe that the Kelkrid could be brought around to their idea that the Copteran autarchs are superior beings, engineered to be such, and that they might be granted some sort of position within the Kelkrid Supreme. We think that this is unlikely, but if this were to happen, we would no longer be able to defend ourselves against the Kelkrid. So you understand, I have been placed in a desperate position to try to save my people.
How does he react to the idea that we pitch? Like, I mean, I don't even know if I'm talking to this guy after the invasion, because
Yeah.
do we, is our next move, should we just, broadcast to the Calcrit world that, even, maybe we even have to, fake a transmission of their leader, everything's fine here now, how are you?
Well, you have their leader, he's currently comatose, you can wake him up when you want, or do as you
I don't
will.
wanna- I don't
I
wanna
can wake him up.
Yeah, we can give him the little thing.
Or we could just use a hologram.
Yeah, fake leader,
Right.
We are so bad at not interfering.
yeah.
They are a warp capable technology.
I know.
I gave you guys a hard moral dilemma out the
Right.
gate.
I think, alright.
Did we win?
There is no winning in Star Trek.
I'm assuming I'm at the helm just in case their warships come fly into.
Right.
Yeah, we're at red alert now.
So what actually it looks like happened is that they had a dead man switch and they had a commando response team that was designed for adverse environments, for any sort of situation that could happen, and they jumped in and you guys were completely prepared for that.
Right.
They did not expect
Spock is
the
like, watch this.
Right.
Womp, 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 womp.
Right.
Were there any geniuses in the brig that threw grenades?
No, because the brig is smaller than the isolation
Yeah.
lab and sick bay, and so
And
they
I think
know
the brig also has a
blow
dampening field that deactivates any weapons.
Yeah,
that
their
are
guns
inside
would
it.
be goners.
Yeah.
I also need an
We should install that in
engineering
sickbay.
team to
Yeah.
Considering
fix
all
the-
the hostile aliens we keep beaming into sickbay.
That sounds like
Alright.
a brilliant idea.
sounds like
Actually,
it.
so after that happens, we're at red alert. The Pathfinder has some limited, not like a full cloak, but
Right.
limited sensor.
Yeah,
scrambling.
dampening and stuff,
Yeah, so
yeah.
we're gonna go
Scramble
to
sensors.
silent running,
Yeah.
just so it's harder for them to figure out where we are.
I mean,
Okay.
For these guys, it's probably as good as a cloak.
We're gonna
So-
send, yeah, and then once the ship's secure, then we would talk to the Faltronet guy
Okay.
and explain to him what happened. Explain to him that we need to make sure that this situation doesn't escalate, and it seems like our goals commingle, like that we're both on the same page there. Like neither one wants us to see this thing explode. And then Kiona and I are gonna we'll talk, and Kiona can do a diplomacy roll on the idea that we have, and
Okay.
see if they're like interested in trying to, you know, the thing that the Kelkrits seem to lack is empathy, right? They've built their culture so much around this idea of consolidating power to the complete exclusion of valuing empathy. And if there's a way to bust down that wall,
With an empathy, right?
I mean, they were
Right.
literally an emo race.
right, then that might be the thing that kind of helps turn the tide here.
Could be. Anything to add? Okay. So,
I wake him up.
you wake up Kelkrit Supreme.
Did he agree? Or did we
Oh, the
show-
Feltronet?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're going to talk to the Feltronet diplomat, and he says, I believe that our goals are aligned and that we want this bloodshed to end. We want this conflict to be over. My people just wish to exist without interference, to experience, to grow through the dream. And if this is how it can be done, if we can share that dream, the Kelkrit, then that may be our path to a new tomorrow. We will need all of your help. I understand now. You have become part of our dream. We have seen the world that you live in, and it has become part of our experience. But we have never lived it. No Falternet can relate to it. So you must help us to control that dream so that we can show the better tomorrow that you live in for the Kelkrit.
Okay.
Well, talk about not interfering.
We do not interfere. We show them a picture, we give them a choice.
Yeah, this is.
What if
This
they
is-
choose wrong?
Do we have to choose right now, or can we choose
We
next
can
session?
choose next session.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah, I think this is the perfect
To be
cliffhanger point.
continued.
Dun dun dun!
Jesse, I want to retcon one thing that I
Yes.
think we should retcon. I think I want to say the empathy ray only works when we're around the Feltrinab, because
Mhm.
otherwise I will have the ability to project empathy in every conflict we get
Oh,
into,
that's,
and I shouldn't have that.
no, that's, I thought that was
Yeah,
understood. that
I just to
you are-
make sure.
You are controlling the
Right.
Faltrinad's access to Dreamtime, but you can't do it without a Faltrinad.
Great, awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it's powered by having a Feltrinite with like two little things in it.
Right,
So if we
right.
get a Feltrinab bridge officer, we get an empathy ray.
No,
That's how it
we're,
works.
we're building Cerebro right now.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this session of Star Trek Adventures. Thank you for sticking with us. Those of us
Hope
started
everyone
the
had a
whole
fun
time.
time.
Those of you who just
On our
joined in the last
crazy
30
story.
minutes, I'm sorry you're so confused, but tune into the YouTube when it comes out tomorrow. All right, and as always, we are the developers of Star Trek Online. Head to StarTrekOnline.com.
Don't forget to
Adventure
tune
in
in
Star Trek
every
universe for
Wednesday when
free.
we live stream the game.
Yeah, and every Wednesday we do a live stream where we talk to developers and play the game, and you know it's fun. So come tune in then.
Well,
All right.
good night
are we
and
all throwing
prosper.
this up? Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.